Good evening. This is the February 1st, 2016 meeting of the Guilford Parks and Recreation and Senior Services Commission. We're calling the meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. And let me make a few introductions before we start the meeting. To my right is Sue Robbins. To Sue's right is Claire Kincaid Dunn, and to Claire's right is Diane Steenbergen. Back here to my left is Rose Dostert, Vice Chair of the Commission. Rose's left, Judy Sullivan, and Rick Maynard, Director of the Parks and Recreation and Senior Services Department. And to Rick's left is John Jagelski, Commission member. And to John's left is Catherine Stewart, our recording secretary. And for the record, let me have your name.
Jane Romero.
Jane Romero. Since there are not any folks here for the public forum, what we'll do instead is to move the agenda. Agenda item A, agenda item 8, section A, dog park. We'll get an update from Joanne Basile and from Catherine Kiernan. And we're going to have them sit right up here and make their presentation. Ladies?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Very happy to come here this evening and kind of give you an update on the 2 years that you've been listening to us talk, and you all have been debating about the placement of this dog park and whether or not it would be a good idea and how it would serve the community. I'm here to report that so far it's been a great community organizing activity. As you may have seen in some of the newspaper reports, after Planning and Zoning approved the location, we were blessed with really wonderful weather and had the opportunity to go out for 3 weekends in a row, or 3 Saturdays in a row, where we had between 25 and 30 volunteers coming out to take down the appropriate trees and clear all of the land. A great thanks go out to Jack Penders, who was there, and Rick Maynard, who came out to help and pull some stuff and weeds off, and also to the town, who took some of our brush away. We brought some stuff to the stump dump, but then the town came and picked up the rest. It was really great, and I think you will all be pleased. If you look on our website, and we do have a website as well as a Facebook page. I'll give you the website address. It is guilforddogpark.com, www.guilforddogpark.com. There are great photographs there about the community getting together to clear the land. So, lots has been going on. We do have a website and a Facebook page. I want to draw your attention to a logo that was designed for the dog park. It's called Guilford Dog Park, and appropriately named.
Yes.
And underneath it, it says Guilford Dog Park at.
Can't really see it, but I'll pass it around. These are the
Yeah.
fundraising, which we'll discuss afterwards, but the logo's on the back.
Yeah, the logo's on the back. The logo was designed by a young student named George Wang. He's a senior at Guilford High School.
That's so great.
And it's wonderful. Take a look.
Yeah.
Pass around there are many copies, so pass that around.
Great.
I was trying to, we're interfacing. One of our committee members is a young woman named Anna Buchanan, who is also a senior. And I should say, Anna and another senior brought a lot of their student friends to help do the clearing. So it's been a kind of multi-generational. We actually had some middle school kids there with their parents. But I said to Anna at one point, I said, we need to get just some information from George about the logo, the coloring and the font and so on. Could you get us something by tomorrow night? And she texted me back and said, I can't, George is busy with his movie. movie? What is this? He's a high school senior. Well, you all probably saw that.
Right.
Guilford did a
Yeah.
movie. Well, George is very much involved with that process. So, we have put together a budget, which I'm going to give to all of you. It is tentative. You'll see, I think it says draft. It was put together the first part of January. The biggest item, here, I'll just take one and pass it around. Thanks. You'll see the biggest item on the budget is obviously the fence. We went to 3 fence companies and got estimates for enclosing the property. It's about a little over 1,300 running feet of fencing that's needed. Plus, there are 3 gates at the beginning of the opening of the park. There's the main gate to get in, then that's kind of like there's a secure area there, and then there's one gate to the small dog park, and then one gate, a separate gate to the large dog park. Rick has asked us to have 3, Rick, what do they call them? Service gates, I guess, right. Very large so that we can get equipment in there. And also so that they can blow leaves out in the back in the fall. And so the range on the fences went from 45,000 to close to 20,000. And what accounted for, now we had one person who was working with these 3 different fence companies, and what we believe accounted for that incredible range was that the one at the $45,000 range was really proposing perhaps a fence that was more than what we needed in terms of security. Obviously, this is a commercial grade fence. It's going to be black coated. It's going to have the right width of posts on it and so on. It's going to be 5 feet high.
Joanne, will there be a bottom railing as well as?
Yes, there will in fact be a bottom railing. And that's really done for less, we're concerned about dogs digging under. There's a little bit of that, but it also really helps the security of the fence, right? So that if a dog does start to dig under, they can't kind of pull the fencing back and get underneath the fence. So at any rate, so there's, in all 3 designs, there was a bottom rail associated with that. So we haven't made a final decision, obviously, because we haven't gotten the money yet. And so it would be premature. And we're going to have to go through a formal process, obviously, with a fence company. And the volunteer who was working on this will put together a set of specs that each fence company will make their bid on. And our hope is that we'll stay within the $20,000 range. So that's where we are. Probably the next largest item is on the area of benches, and that's going to be a number that fluctuates depending on how we do on fundraising. And we have, as you'll see from the budget, we've got a number that is $37,900, so $38,000, give or take 10%, that we need to get the park open. So that's with some benches and with the fence. And with a surface on the, still hasn't been determined what the surface will be at the dog park itself. Then we have a wish list that will bring us up to about 50,000 when it's all over. So, yeah.
What is agility equipment exactly?
Well, it is, do you know what agility is with dogs? Yeah, it's obstacle courses. And we're not sure, we're not going to do a formal agility course, but we will have some, it's barrels, tunnels for them to go under.
Okay.
Play space, yes, okay.
Play skates, yeah, right, exactly.
That works.
Right. And we have been in touch with a number of equipment manufacturers who make equipment specifically for parks and for, we have to have outside commercial grade equipment, benches, and the agility equipment as well. And obviously they have a whole line specifically for dog parks, because as you can imagine, dog parks are very popular throughout the country, and they almost always end up in the Parks and Rec department. So there seems to be a very close alignment there for the kind of equipment that you buy that a Parks and Rec department would tend to buy. And and these dog park things.
Have you checked with Public Works to see if they have any surplus equipment that they may be able to, you may be able to use, like culverts or tunnels or?
Something we're thinking into, because even some parks have sewer pipes,
Yes.
you know, which are cute, and then you can have kids as artists draw on them.
Yeah, the only problem with sewer pipes is that they can be rough, so you gotta watch out, you know,
Okay.
in terms of,
We've seen some, like, we haven't even gone that far.
yeah, right, that's on our wish list on the,
We're thinking of, you know, old fire hydrants, things like that too, would be cute.
The water company could supply you with old fire hydrants.
yeah. The funny thing is, we learned from talking to, you know, I don't know if you have, she's not been to these meetings, but Rick has met with her. The woman who started the Hamden Dog Park now lives in Guilford. And we had breakfast with her, I had breakfast with her a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about what we had done so far. And we had just had all the stumps ground at the park a couple of weeks ago. And she said, oh no, she said, you didn't grind all the stumps down, did you? We said, yes, because they were a hazard, you could trip over them. Well, as it turns out, in Hamden, that dogs want to pee on something, right? And so they were peeing on the trees. So Hamden has now actually had to cover the base of their trees. If we had kept the stumps there from the trees that we had taken down, they would have been our natural fire hydrants, and we would not have had to do that. So we're going to have to run over to the stump dump and bring some along. In any event, so any other questions about the budget? And then turn this over to Catherine. Her stuff is much more exciting.
You guys have done a really good
Yeah,
job.
Yes.
Really.
I've been following on on Facebook, it's really.
No, we're having a
really
great time,
impressive.
and everyone's really, really excited about it. The fundraising we've started, we've collected over 4,400 right now, as of now. We're doing it the old-fashioned way. You have to mail in a form, call in. We're unable to do an online PayPal, GoFundMe type thing. So to make it easier for people, we're gonna have events throughout the winter where people can bring their form down. We'll have forms on site, obviously. Bring your checkbook, bring your credit card. Our first event is February 10th. We're having a yappy hour at Shepherd's Tavern. Getting a great response to it. I mean, I'm surprised at the amount of people that are.
This is probably a shepherd's there.
I know. Well, we're actually going to have a winter series of yappy hours. The Marketplace is going to have 2, Baloo's wants to have one, and Casey's Pub wants to have one as well.
Mention Casey.
Yep.
We already
I-
did that
yep.
one, yeah.
So that's how we're going to reach out to the community, because it is difficult for even myself to fill out a form and mail it in. So we're going to make it easier for them. Another thing we've done is we have collection bins throughout the town. We've put out about 30 in different businesses, anywhere from clothing stores to gift stores to pet stores, vets, anywhere where there's a cash register where people might have change. So we're looking for people to dump their change in, but also bring their form to those places. So we're promoting Shop Local at the same time, getting people into local stores, and hopefully starting to collect some of these forms. We do have another event that's just started brewing today, but we're gonna have a one-day Blitz, Let's Get This Done telethon. It's in the works, but the Marketplace has agreed to be the location for it. We have a company in town that's a telecommunications specialist who happens to have 2 dogs, and he's very excited about the park, so he's handling getting us a phone bank. And it's gonna be a really, really cute event. We're gonna have people in dog costumes, pulling people in, answering phones in dog costumes, just create a real huge buzz. And the only way it'll work is we create a huge buzz for this event to get people down there and to call in. So we have advertised in the paper, almost every week there's something about the dog park in the paper. Casey's Pub had our first event. They donated the first week in January, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 20% of their proceeds of the whole days. So they sent us a nice check of almost $500.
Very nice.
So that got us started out. So anyways, things to raise money, people can make just a flat-out donation. You can purchase an item. We're having engraved bricks in our walkway. So you could purchase a brick and engrave it with your dog's name or really anything.
You're using the same company that the library uses?
Yep.
Great.
Oh, great.
Yep, we researched a couple of them, and they're all the same. So we want to go with a company that
That we know.
that we know. Yep. So they were actually sending a sample so we could have those at our Yappy Hours to promote. And also the marketplace is gonna have a
You said
section.
happy hour or yuppie hour?
Yappy
Yeah.
Hour.
Yappie hour, okay.
Yeah.
But no dogs, not a traditional yappy hour. Those are traditional, yappy hours have always been with dogs. These are not with dogs, but they're for dogs.
It's an evening to socialize the dog owners in town.
Better idea.
Yeah.
Regarding donations, are you registered with the IRS as a,
Yeah,
what is it,
I'm
503C or? what is it called?
501c3.
501c3.
No, what actually we've done, thanks again to Rick, is all of our donations go through the Parks and Rec Department. This is a formal town of Guilford park, and so their system is able to take in the names of people plus all of their identification information, email addresses, address, phone number, and so on. And it generates a thank you letter and an IRS letter. The IRS letter was drafted, we've got a sample from the town finance director on the ones that they use. Any contribution to the town, it's a municipal contribution, is automatically a tax deduction. So that's how we're handling it. We thought about doing a 501c3, but frankly, A, it takes a lot of time to get those started. B, we really needed to get this up and running. And we're gonna, and the Parks and Rec Department have a system.
And it is a
And it is part of.
It's a town park, and you
Town
have a
park.
system already in
And
place.
it's actually great, Ellen's been great, and so she's taken away, we don't have to send thank you letters to people, I mean, it's just all automatic. So it's really,
Great.
it's a nice system.
I would just put that on here because it doesn't say that your
Well, it says on the
contribution is
back,
tax deductible.
I guess it doesn't. Yeah, okay, I will add that. We have make checks payable to the town of Guilford.
And they can also take credit cards. Your system takes
Yeah.
credit cards. It's a little more cumbersome, but we decided we would try that for a while and see how it works.
So people can call in to the rec department or
They have to
go
sign
on,
up.
sign up through the system, which could be a little cumbersome if they're not on it, but it's not that difficult. And then when we're at our events, we can get them to fill out the form, and then Ellen will input it into the system.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the website recently, but I think Ellen was gonna try to put it when you go to our website, our homepage, you know, to donate to dog park,
link.
click here, so you didn't have to go through all the entire
Yeah,
spring, summer
yeah, she
brochure
says
to
she's working
find
on
it.
that, I don't think she's
Yeah, I'm not sure,
figured it out yet.
again, I haven't looked at it in a while, but you talked about trying to do that, where you can just, as soon as you get our homepage, it'll say to donate to dog park, click here, and
Click
it'll
here and then it goes.
take you right to it. We're trying
Yeah.
to see if we can work that
Yeah,
out, make it
we have had
easier.
one person pay by credit card, so it works. But,
Takes your money.
yeah, I mean, we just have to create a really big hype about this, and I think through our events, and, well, I was starting to say the marketplace is gonna set a designated area in their store, we're gonna have a brick set up, these forms, so when people come in, they could just fill out the form right there. It's hard in the other stores to leave this stuff, because it's too much.
Takes up
But
ton of space.
they're gonna put a little corner area. So we're trying our best to get out there and collect it, and my goal is by the end of this month.
Wow, short month too.
Is that a challenge?
It's leap year, you get an extra day.
Oh, good, good.
Yay,
You get
yay.
an extra day, that's right.
How soon will you be getting back to Nut Plains Park to do the clearing?
Well, the clearing is done, yeah.
It's done.
So it is done, okay.
It is done, right. It is really a matter of our raising the money, so that the next phase is really gonna be construction and purchasing of equipment, but we can't do that until
Okay.
we have more than $4,500.
We had two special volunteers, Mike Guerrero from Guerrero Landscaping and Matt Callum, who went there after we cleared the land, and they really cleared it with machinery. And Mike's gonna help regrade it. There's one area that's a little low, a little muddy, so he's gonna help regrade that and get that up to where it is. And if we sell the bricks early enough, he's gonna help lay them. So more incentive that we gotta really fundraise quickly.
Great.
Everyone's excited about it, it's just a matter of we gotta get their money.
I couldn't help but notice the men with the chainsaws down there.
Yeah,
One of them happened to be, on a couple of occasions, the chairman of the Planning
Planning
and
and
Zoning
Zoning.
Commission.
Yeah,
They were wielding those chainsaws.
he was
getting out a lot.
disappointed when he ran out of trees.
I'm sure he did. Well,
He
You know, you can put him to work someplace else.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would do that.
If you guys ever wanted that other patch of trees in the front to expand your parking lot, we got the guys for you.
Oh, I know.
You made fun of what we have about the BMX bike track.
We'll see.
I want to mention just one other thing. Rick and I met with the police department, Jack Dunn, last week, because obviously with the animal control officer and so on, that's under their jurisdiction. We wanted to at least make sure that we reached out to them, touch base, find out if they had any concerns, give them an update on where we were. Jack's the only issue that he raised was the issue of the town has a leash law ordinance, as you know. Curiously enough, because this is a town park, if we don't revise the leash law ordinance, and I think Rick has got that on your agenda today, then we can't have kids, we can't have the dogs, well, it's kids to some of us, running around without a leash in the dog park. So that was their concern. But we did talk about, some of the issues. We're going to have rules. We got some samples from the insurance company, and we have a committee that's putting together a set of rules for the Guilford Dog Park. It'll be vetted within that group, and it'll go before the legal counsel and for the town, as well as you guys and the insurance company.
Great.
Who's going to enforce the rules?
Well, there's two things that happen, and we talked about this. What happens traditionally in dog parks is that the rules are kind of self-enforced. I mean, people who go to dog parks are, many, not all, no accounting for stupid people, are pretty conscientious. And, but also, people need to understand that if there's a problem, the police department or the animal control will come by. And in that regard, we talked to Jack about, suggesting that they just periodically stop by, because then it's, people understand that you never know,
That's
right? Right. So Jack said they want to be, they want to be friends to people in the dog park. They don't want to be seen as the policing the dog park, if you will, in a negative light, but they will absolutely come by. So, and it is what you find in certain dog parks. If people get out of hand, and it can happen, there is no doubt about that, we will have the police department phone number on posted there, and you call, and you get somebody there.
Great.
And the dogs do have to be licensed, and so we're going to provide links to licensing. One of our events, we're actually going to see if we can, we're working on it, to see if we could at least pass out the paperwork or something to make it easier for people, if not actually get them licensed at the event.
Very cool. Great. Wow, thank you.
Any other questions?
They've done a tremendous amount of work.
You
Even
guys
just in
do
2 or 3
a
months,
lot
there's
of
so
work,
much
it takes a
completed
lot of
already.
effort to get to this step, and I applaud your
We're having fun doing it.
enjoyment.
You
of
sound
it.
You look like it.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Covered the bases.
Great.
Well, we do love our dogs, and we really want to thank you all, too, obviously. We just have to do
Thank you all.
that.
Good job. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah. See you at the park.
You will. And on the green. But Kathy was what, cover girl? Front page, on the corner? Yeah, yeah,
I have to do my job.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Agenda item number 3, correspondence. We have 2 items of correspondence. One is from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, from the Deputy Commissioner Susan Whalen to First Selectman Joe Mazza, who graciously forwarded along to Rick. If you'd like, we could discuss that further when we come to the agenda item
Yeah,
I think that would be
8D.
better. Yep,
Like Quantapug?
yep. I think that would be better.
Okay. And similarly, we have some correspondence from a young man with a fine Irish name, Brendan O'Callahan, who who has sent Rick a memo about using a portion of Nut Plains Park as a bike park, or a trail bike park, or a mountain bike park. That also is on the agenda, and that's on new business item A. So
Move it up.
Move it up.
we can move it to that, yeah. And I spoke to Mr. O'Callahan ahead of time, and he preferred it that way too, rather than making a presentation at the beginning and then going home, and to watch the caucus results, I should say. But he's going to stay, and we appreciate that very much. Item number 4, approval of the January 4th, 2016 minutes of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
No problem.
Yeah, I move we accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections? It's a 4-page document. I have one correction, and that's on page 4, section B, dog park donors and contributors. Take a look at the first paragraph there, and the concluding sentence in that first paragraph. The motion was made, seconded, and carried unanimously to end the executive session and resume the normal session at 8:06 p.m. I did not say that. In fact, I specifically said that we don't make motions in executive session, even if it's to a motion to get out of the executive session. That's an illegal motion. The way we leave executive session is to say we're leaving executive session, and then we're here, and we're resuming the public business. So I think we have to delete that sentence. And I can explain it later on if you'd like, but it's pretty clear in the FOI statutes.
Oh, we save that for later.
Well,
So we're not,
we can just delete it and pass the minutes.
Yeah.
sure, and then we'll talk about the
We can
extensions
talk about
after.
after. So, all those in favor of the motion,
Can I just say,
Well, in favor of the minutes amended.
yeah, as amended?
can I just ask, do you want it to say that when public session resumed? Does that have to be included?
I thought it should be.
If you strike out that you ended executive session, do you need to put in when you started it again? Is that part of the,
No, no,
You have to end the executive session and resume the
just at
normal
least
session.
state what time you
Uh-huh.
started back in
Yeah,
again?
Mhm.
Mhm.
otherwise you don't know what you did or when you did it.
Out of
If
executive
if you
session.
want to do that, that's fine.
So you can leave out that it says a
But we have to
motion.
leave that motion out
No,
of.
that's fine, but if we take that out.
You
Just
just say,
say,
just say
normal session
you
resumed at
ended the
8:06.
executive session and resumed the
Right.
normal session at
That's fine.
8:06.
Because then it says right after that, it sounds like you concluded right after.
Right.
And back in regular session at 8:07 PM, there be no further business? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Is there, and there should be 2 abstentions on that, Sue and
I'm
Diane.
abstaining.
Mhm.
I was not at that meeting.
So all those in favor of adopting the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 2 abstentions, Diane and Sue. I know it sounds crazy, and it is. It's clear, it's pretty clear.
No, it's fine. Makes sense.
Next item, item number 5 on the agenda, review and approval of expenditures for January 2016.
I have one correction, Jack, that I found today on the second page, where it says Winletric. See that first section there under all those Russell Hall bills?
Mhm.
Winletric?
Mhm.
That 1452.50, that should actually be $209.45.
Oh, wow.
Well, there was an initial bill that was sent, and but there were a lot of items we sent back.
Okay.
And so it should be 209.45. So instead of 609.02, it should be 4,846.95 cents.
And
That's the grand total.
could you also do it for the total?
Yes, the grand total at the bottom there would be 89,581.13. So it's like $1,243 less.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Always good to have it.
Yeah.
I just have one question. Connecticut Water for 3,000?
That would've been Long Hill Park. This is for the fall season.
Oh, so that's still irrigation for?
Yeah, but the bills, it's seasonal, so we got the bill probably in December, January, whatever. It would've been for probably August through November, probably.
Okay.
And then, but yes, that was Long Hill. It's not on anymore, we disconnected.
When they bill us, can we even out the billings over the year, or do we just have to pay over
It is by
quarterly?
use.
It is
Yeah,
by use,
yeah.
okay.
And the interstate fire and safety under building maintenance on page 1.
That's biannual cleaning of the hood in the kitchen. By law, we have to clean that twice a year. It gets grease buildup and everything else, so it's,
Mhm.
that is.
Chimney.
Page 2, Rick, field maintenance, 144-55-210. Which field does that refer to?
Oh, that's
when
not,
you got hay.
yeah, that's hay. That's actually hay bales. We charge it to, we have to charge it to some account, but it's hay bales we use up at Baldwin for the sledding area.
Ah.
We have to put hay bales down so that it sleds don't either go into the pond or, of course, we only had really about 2 days to do that this year, or the
Or they move
trees.
and make for jumps.
Yeah, well, they do.
Yes, they do that.
We don't want to promote that, but we put them at the bottom of the hills, you know, to protect the kids from going into the pond, and then on the other side, where the woods are, every year we buy hay bales and put them up there.
Make a motion to accept the...
One final question, please. Schweitzer is listed in both in parks maintenance and in building maintenance, so they collect for the building and then they collect for the parks?
Well, the building is the dumpster,
Okay,
and the parks is the barrels that are out in the
Okay.
parks.
very good, thank you.
And that one, you know, to your question earlier about the water, is that there's no question we're collecting a lot less trash now than we do like in the summer. But we just take whatever the total contract is, let's say it's $30,000, we just divide it by 12, and then we just, that is billed evenly
Okay.
throughout the year. It's just an easy way to do it. No matter what, we're gonna behave the same anyway.
Right.
So that one we just spread out.
Okay.
So you get a motion.
I have a motion to accept the minutes for not the minutes, the
Bill.
bills.
Bills.
89,581.13
Correct.
Second.
For the month of
for the month of
January 2016.
January 2016.
Rose seconded.
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Item 6 on the agenda, the department reports. Rick, you go in sequence with yours, the park foreman and the senior program coordinator.
I thought we were moving Brendan up.
Excuse me?
I thought we were moving the bike discussion up so that he could go.
No, I asked him, and he wanted to stay for the
Oh, okay.
meeting,
Oh,
which is fine with me.
No homework tonight, right?
This is
Get out of the
homework.
house.
Community service.
Yeah, community service time.
I have to tell you, most high school kids want to get here and leave. That's okay.
I want to hear.
Good,
Yeah, good.
good, thank you.
Thanks, remember.
Your government in action.
So to speak. Yeah, a couple of them, well, okay, go ahead, Rick. Not all of them could be discussed here. In effect, well, okay, 7, of course, that'll be discussed with Brendan. The sports groups, that'll come under your report with the Fields, Spring Fields Committee. So why don't you just highlight 1 and 9? And any other one you want, I'm just trying to
Well, one
abbreviate
is over the
things.
dog park. We
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah,
that.
but that's the leash. We have to amend it.
Yeah, that's under the,
Leash,
the
that's on the agenda. Well, that's what you said, yes,
proposed
we've already
dog
done
ordinance
leash.
service on new business.
Yes,
I have a
okay.
question on number 6, the crumb rubber infield, the synthetic turf fields. Now, it says in one place it's been accepted and that's what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of anxious
Mhm.
people out there.
I was gonna address
So
that under
what
Standing
was gonna-
Fields.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll do it
Go
now if
ahead.
you want, I want to wait.
No, just kind of
Well, we started it, what,
Okay.
can we just do it?
There were some people that came to the Standing Fields Committee meeting last week, with, I'd say, maybe 8 or 10. And all of them had some concerns about the rubber infill that goes on the synthetic turf fields. It's coming up because there's, the high school building committee and the Board of Ed have accepted putting another synthetic turf field at the high school, which has been recommended by the Standing Fields Committee. And so I think that because there was a recent report from a group in North Haven, I think it's North Haven, Hamden, North Haven, that some people have some concerns about the safety of crumb rubber. However, there are multiple studies from the State Health Department, DEP, Massachusetts Health Department, New Jersey, New York, California, I mean, multiple reports that said there are no health issues with crumb rubber. I mean, zero. Our own field was tested in 2008, our existing field, independently by 2 different groups. The Board of Ed hired a company that did an air quality test, and another company did rehire to have a company do that. And I don't know what the limits are, but whatever the limits are, we are well below the limits for the air quality as well as the water. They tested the water too. They tested the water during a heavy rainstorm going into the drain and then where it came out of the drain. And those tests all were well below whatever the standard is for carcinogens. So it's come up to the Board of Education meeting that Paul Schmidt and I went to. There were some residents that went to that meeting with some concerns. I anticipate there are going to be a lot of people going to the high school building committee meeting next week. That's
Well,
where the
they're
decision
gearing
is.
up. I mean,
Yeah.
But that's not our I'm sorry, that's not our decision, is it?
It's not our decision. You know, I'm sure they'll have
Just
different
making sure
reports
that-
that they'll look at, but the field committee's basing on, you know, all the reports that are out there. I mean, all the public reports say there is no correlation between cancer and crumb rubber. There was a study that, there's a group called EHHI, but that's a group in North Haven. There's a study that they had done at Yale that contradicted some of these other studies. But then I saw another study contradicting that study, so it's who's doing the study, I
So
guess.
the Board of Education is gonna make the determining factor.
Or the high school
Or-
building committee, yeah.
The high school building
Yeah,
committee.
yeah. So the field committee is recommending, their recommendation is that the Malone McBroom, who is the consultant for the project, that Malone McBroom make a recommendation of what is the safest infill to put on a synthetic turf field. And it's up to them to, I saw a matrix they sent out today of, I don't know, there may be 8 different types of infill that you can use. They listed the pros and cons of all of them. Not health issues, they talked about durability, wearability, maintenance, all that kind of stuff. So the field committee is asking them to make a recommendation to the building committee, what is the best stuff to use.
In the absence of any information on health issues, though,
I think their recommendation was that that the building committee, I'm sorry, the field committee recommendation is that the building committee asked Malone Maroon to recommend what is the safest product to use on the field.
so it's still a go.
Right now it is.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
until the high
I
school
mean,
building meetings.
for the hours, I mean, for years, people have been playing on turf, and I guess I spent many hours out on the turf, and I had no issues. That's just me. I mean, and the
I mean,
kids,
there are people who have concerns, and their concerns are real to them.
Yes,
And it's just, it's up to the people who make that decision, which is not us.
Sounds like those 2 boards are addressing them.
Yeah.
sounds that way.
Mhm.
Number 9.
And there are 2 fields, but one of them is going to be synthetic,
Correct.
and the other is going to be natural grass.
Yes. I will say one thing, one comment that I had made at the field committee meeting with a direct answer to a question. I think one of the questions was, why would we even consider synthetic turf over grass? And I just gave the real example that on the high school field, when it was a grass football field, there's one year when the high school Thanksgiving game was home, it was played in rain, muck, I mean, it was a mess. The field was closed all spring. Couldn't use it for physics classes, lacrosse, or anything else. We spent the spring getting it ready for the next football season. So that year, it was a 1-season, 1-sport field. And it just, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that.
No.
Well, we have a situation right now that we have been brought up to our attention that Guilford Lakes, somebody, I hate to use the word trespass, but they used the field and they were unauthorized to use it, and they have torn up the field. Okay, and this is something that Rick has put together, maintaining that the field was gonna be ready for soccer for the spring of this year. I walked the field tonight before I came over here. It's beyond usability.
And we closed that field
And it
2
was
seasons to
looking
get it ready.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It was
yeah, we
looking so good.
Renovated over 2 seasons, and it may be closed again.
So, and just to, from the fact that I do sports along the shoreline, the following towns have fields. Coggins, Madison has 2. Saybrook just put in a brand-new field that was operational this spring. Brantford and Clinton at Indian River. The towns that don't have them, Westbrook, but they put a ton of money into all grass fields about 3-4 years ago. North Brantford, they're considering going to turf. HK wants to go to turf, but they don't have the money to get to it. And Old Lyme just did the same thing. They put a ton of money into their grass field, but the same thing. Football plays there 1 game, and then
It's a mess.
it's a mess. And then it's shut down for the remainder of the season because football just does not, unless you're playing on a professional field, football just,
They
It's
trash the
incompatible.
field, and
It's
it's just
bad.
the nature of the game.
it's bad. It's very bad. And what that does now is it puts other sports at risk, puts players at risk for playing on a field that has a lot of divots and a lot of holes. So,
But don't forget, the dilemma in this whole thing is cost, composition of the field, but also health. It's not, that's the focal point of the whole discussion. What about East Haven? What do they have, John?
I don't do East Haven, so I don't know what they have over there.
The synthetic, I think. is-
They
Probably
have
that's
a
it.
turf
I
field,
think they have synthetic.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
The only negative that I would say personally about working on a synthetic field is that during the summertime, the field gets hot on your feet. In direct sunlight in July, yeah, your feet are gonna get a little hot.
And you can get a little turf burn.
You're,
If you
but from
fall
a,
down.
but the players actually, and even a couple of orthopedic guys I know, they see there is a lower incidence of sports injuries with the synthetic turf as compared to grass. Okay, there are still injuries, it doesn't ignore them, it doesn't negate them, it doesn't remove them, but they are fewer in number as compared to on a grass field. And then from our standpoint, from a maintenance standpoint, you don't mow it, you don't fertilize it, you don't water it. Okay,
Well, let's keep in mind, just as a commission, though, they're going to be framing the issue as a maintenance issue, as a cost issue, and then somebody's going to say, but at what cost to our children?
Right, sure.
And that, I'm just suggesting what's going to happen, and how that issue is going to be framed.
you can frame that issue on anything.
Probably,
I mean,
probably.
and again, from a personal standpoint, I like working on a synthetic field because I do not have to worry about stepping in a hole during the middle of the game and hurting myself. And the pace of the games that I work on right now, I will not recover from it like a 18-year-old kid will. So I prefer the fact that if the high school is going to build another field with a synthetic, that it meets with my approval. I mean, I don't see anything, and I have read studies regarding air quality, and I've read from Yale, and I've read the one from University of Washington. You can adapt statistics to anything that you want it to be.
Well, again, it's not in
It's
our.
not our,
Right.
Yeah,
umbrella.
we're not scientists to
All right,
make
so-
that decision, so.
While we're still on your reports, just briefly, the fitness center at the high school, the facility should be completed in late February. What does that mean for us? I mean, do we have to,
I think we
people
really-
there,
We were
what do
gonna
we
do a
need to
walk.
do?
We're- Yeah, that's
We-
what, I sent a note to Cliff Gurnham today to find out what, there's some available time for him to meet with the commission to get in there and take a look,
Right.
and then we can discuss that, I think, when we see it.
So we have utilities there now?
Yes, we're paying for them now.
Yes.
Okay.
gas and electric.
Okay.
And water? Is that-
No, there's no water there, just in the bathroom.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, with water, I think the school's taking care of that, we just have gas and electric right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so the commissioner, we're going to add that to the agenda this evening in place, a site walk at the, not the high school science center, but maybe the wellness fitness center. Well, we're going to add that, John, it's not on the
Okay.
agenda.
Right.
But I think
So
Rick-
letter E
we don't have to add it now,
probably
though,
like-
but Rick.
Right around
Yeah, we don't
down
have to
here.
add it now.
We don't have to
because
add it.
Rick
Rick
has
has told
so
us,
it's
he's
fine.
reported to us on
Yeah.
that.
So we
Okay.
should know by next monthth's meeting,
Yeah, I'm thinking, trying to like the next week or two, set up, you know, a
to
walk.
set it up for this month.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
so, yeah, when I hear back from Cliff, I asked him from dates and times that he's available. I'll get word out to everybody, and as many can make it, we'll just, find a better time, best time we can to
Rick,
do
was
it.
was it ever decided that, I know we had talked about having an employee from Park and Rec to be there, to be at the fitness center, to
During certain
oversee
hours.
during certain hours? Do you know if that's,
We haven't gotten that far, but
Okay.
my thought is if we run programs there, it'd be just like any other class we have, like an aerobics class or
Yeah.
anything we run here. It's open,
Yeah,
when that
yes.
person's there supervising it, that person locks up when they leave and goes, not just open to the general public whenever they want to come and use it.
Okay.
Because there's also going to be a lot of use from the school. I already get
Right.
some emails of,
Okay.
of the school system wanting to get on board with it.
But
with us.
Diane, as a commission, I think we'll know better once we actually get in there and see what that.
Yeah.
How it uses it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, plus like-
I haven't been there either.
Okay.
Uh,
We're good on the
Rick,
other ones.
you want to summarize the park performance report? Or highlight it, or whatever you want to do?
Well, they were pretty busy a week ago, that weekend storm we had. And except for that, fortunately, they've been able to get a lot of other stuff done. You can see like they're rebuilding and painting picnic tables, and it's kind of almost a joke, this ice measurement at Mill Pond. I asked Tony to measure it before we got the snowstorm, just to find out if we had anything there. Once snow got on it, it's hard, you gotta have to have thick enough ice to remove, there was a 1/4 inch, so I think
Not skating.
it's very unlikely we have any skating at all this year. 'Cause now we get into February, sun gets higher in the sky, it's harder to keep, people need to understand, we need 10 days, at least 10 days of never getting above freezing to get the thickness of ice that we need. The minimum of black ice, I'd like to stay around 5 inches. White ice, which is snow, ice mixed together, 8 inches. And so, I just don't see it happening this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this.
Right.
But
I'm saying, not at all.
What's
But
that?
nowadays, when
winter,
it
so
gets
young.
ice, is good to go, it snows.
Yeah.
It's not
I
like the
noticed-
old days.
Rick, it says that Christmas tree lights were taken off the tree for the season, but I did notice there is a wreath on the arm of the
Oh, yeah, we
statue
gotta
in the
get that
middle of the green.
Yeah,
That's looking a little tired,
Yeah.
that needs to come down, so.
yeah.
Just
Good
as,
point.
in case they forgot about it.
Yeah, and the reason the fence is still around, because it was frozen in, we couldn't get the posts out.
Yeah.
Now it's soft, we might be able to, but Tony said he thinks we might have to use a loader, because there's like the metal ones have like a prong kind of thing, and it's hard to, it's like the sword and the stone, it's kind of hard to
Yes.
just pull it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
But we don't want to go on it with the green being soft and
No.
leave, so it may just stay there for a little while. But I have to tell you, we're way ahead of the game. There are some years that we've had the Easter egg hunt, and the lights are still on the tree.
Yes.
Because the ground was either too
Leave them
hard,
on
or
all
too-
year.
it was either too cold, we couldn't get out there, or the ground was too soft, we couldn't get on it. So the lights are off, we just have a fence around it right
I
now.
mean, soldier guarding it with this rifle.
It's progress.
So, you go, boy.
How about 6C? I don't see one for Ellen Cloud, Recreation Supervisor.
No report.
Okay.
She put a little more, she's been working on the brochure
Yeah.
She's been
for spring
busy.
and fall, spring and
How
summer.
about Seniors Program Coordinator?
All goes well.
Yeah, there is a correction, I looked at this with Terry today, where the bus program is, October, it looks like 23 trips. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be 523.
Yeah. Let's say 20%, really?
Wow, what happened that month?
They went to San Francisco.
It's 523. And the reason that December is, November was really high, because we did a lot of trips in November, less in December. And we have less, the mileage I'm talking about the passenger miles at the bottom there.
Right.
Yeah.
In December, we didn't do a lot of, the Wednesday trips where we go somewhere.
Because of,
There's
yeah,
a-
she doesn't plan.
And
a
we had
lot.
so many lunches on
Yeah.
Wednesdays, the Rotary lunch,
Yes.
and things like that,
Plus,
so,
look at the weather and stuff.
Too
Right.
many Christmas parties.
right.
Yeah.
So it was just less travel trips.
Good.
But February looks great, so.
Yeah.
Agenda item 7A, Standing Fields Committee.
Well, I think we addressed the
Yeah.
turf projects. The only thing else is the Cox Field. This Saturday morning, I have to walk with the Wetlands Commission up there because they have to approve. It's within 100 feet of the wetlands boundary, the work that's going to be done at Upper Cox Field, so we need their approval. The application was submitted by Malone and McBroom, who is our engineer doing the work. And I'm trying to see if I can get one of them to be there with me, because, I don't have the answers to the questions about, where things are happening, so I'm hoping that I can get somebody from Malone and Bruin to join me, but I'll be there, it's at 7:30 Saturday morning.
Okay.
So the Cox left field is gonna be taken out of, what, production circulation, what do you wanna say, for 2016?
Probably for the year, because there's not gonna be enough money in the budget to sod it, it's gonna be seeded, and it'll be usable this spring, up through Soccer Fest, which is like June 27th, 29th, something like that. And then after that, we'll try to get it done, and if we're seeding it, I just don't see it ready in the fall. You'd like to get those roots get down.
Right.
If we sodded it, it could be, but we talked about doing this a couple of years ago, we put it off though until we get the 2 new high school fields. So if we're losing 2 fields at Cox, we have to have a place to put them. And when we have the 2 new high school fields, that's a place we can, transfer the people that play at Cox.
By shutting down the field in October of last year, did that help?
It'll, you knew how hard it was. It was
Yeah.
just very compacted, and, because we were so dry. But in the spring, it'll soften up just for the snow and rain.
Okay.
It's gonna have some bare spots. We're not gonna spend a lot of money and
What's
time
that?
seeding it, because we're gonna be taking it out of service anyway. But I think it'll be playable. It's not gonna look like Lakes does right now. It'll be playable, but it just won't be in pristine shape like the Bittner Field is. But if it's not safe, then we won't let people on it.
No.
And I have to say that at the Standing Fields Committee meeting, Rick did a masterful job in balancing all of the competing interests and reconciling all of the needs for fields.
The Springfields meeting, yeah.
For the spring fields. Even mentioning at that time, the report you received about the fields at Lakes. And I mentioned that in terms of field availability in the future, I mentioned the fact that Peddler's Park has been cleared, and people were not unreceptive to that. They thought it was, oh, yeah. And Rick also mentioned the possibility of Dudley Field on County Road. Yeah. It has a lot of impediments to it, but that's a possibility too.
Right.
Jack, I'd just like to say something to the public about, especially after what Rick and I went through, saw up at Guilford Lakes. Folks, just stay off the fields for until the season's ready to start, because anything you do right now is just going to damage. And it's going to take, it'll impact, I hate that word, it'll affect every sports team in town with regard to availability and timing of making the grass grow. So if you want to go play somewhere, do not use the fields. We call it the squish test. If your feet make water come out of the ground, stay off the field, because it's just going to damage it for an extensive period of time.
Do we feel like we need to close Guilford Lakes now in
I
order
would-
to
I-
save
Put a
it for
fence around
anything?
it.
Yeah, we don't fence to put around it, but.
Or just a rope or something
You would
around
think
it.
it's common sense. Somebody actually took a snow blower and cleared some of the snow off of it. And I sent a report to the police, asking if they could look into it, because to me, that's vandalism. Nobody can go on our fields and decide to blow snow off. We wouldn't do it. And they played on it. I understand it was spring-like weather over the weekend, but the fields are not spring-like fields right now. They're winter fields. And as you said, that field is really damaged.
They're fragile.
Based on the meeting we had last week, Jack, we told the youth sports, youth soccer, that field will be playable this year. We spent 2 seasons shutting it down to get it ready for this spring, and it may not be playable now.
Can we caution tape it off? I know we don't have
We,
fencing per se.
we can put signs up, which we've done before in the past, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's been an unusual winter because there's no snow on the ground at all, you know? Yeah, I mean, we will at least, at the very least, put some signs up.
Can
But-
something be said to the Guilford Lake School? Because somebody wrote that they had seen kids playing on it. Was it during school or recess time? Or keep the kids off it during recess? I don't know whether they're on the fields or not.
Yeah.
Put a notice on GCTV saying, please keep them off the fields.
Well, I think you definitely have to
Unfortunately,
address it
common
at
sense
the
is
actual location, because people on the weekends, they go over, they walk their dog, they do whatever.
Yeah.
It needs to be notified, and there's gotta be a notice of some sort, or a barrier, whether it's the caution tape with just,
Mhm.
to let people know that, you can't rely on
If
public
the kids at
information.
the school go out for recess, where are they going? I mean, you can't play in the parking lot. So if the kids go outside for
There's a
recess,
playground
they
area.
just stay
Playground
at that
area.
area, but they
Yeah.
stay off of the
There's
fields.
playground
yes.
equipment down at the other
Okay.
end.
This wasn't
Okay.
recess, I mean, you can see spike marks,
Oh.
like
Yeah.
somebody wearing cleats.
Cleats.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
7B, Green Committee.
Really not too much to report, except we did have a meeting last week, and they are considering, still looking at fees for the use, for the maintenance of the green, and they're still considering proposing to the Board of Selectmen a new fee structure for groups that do pay to use the green. I mean, most groups don't pay, you know, they're nonprofits, but some do. And if there's a fee charge or whatever, there is a fee schedule, but they're gonna eventually make a recommendation, probably to raise that a little bit, because any maintenance of the green is now coming out of the Green Committee. We don't pay for that now. The Green Committee has an account that, I just tell you, look, we just had to spend, you know, $500 on seed. They reimburse us for it, or cover the cost of it.
Okay.
7C, Land Acquisition Commission. I attended the January meeting, and I don't have anything to report to this commission, except that we're meeting again this Thursday night. 7:30, I believe, 7:30, right?
Yeah.
Agenda item 8, unfinished business. We've already discussed A, dog park. B, the proposal to name the Guilford High School baseball field for our dearly departed chairperson, Ralph Chapani Jr.
No new report. There's supposed to be a meeting in February, and I haven't heard of a date for that yet.
Okay. C, Grass Island Shack.
I have heard nothing, no update on that.
D, Lake Quantapug Weed Control Report. And we'll do that in conjunction with the letter you received from the commissioner, deputy commissioner, through First Selectman Joe Mazza. And also, we have a committee of 3 working on that issue as well.
Do you want me to summarize that letter, and Rose or John or Claire, you want to talk
Sure.
about? So basically, it was a notification that we were being awarded $20,000 for the grant on the control of invasive weeds. We applied for $34,000. We received $20,000. But I was told that there were a lot of towns, there was a lot of competition for that grant, and we got the largest percent of it, the largest portion.
Good.
And so along with the $20,000 we put in our budget for next year, and the $5,000 that the Guilford Foundation is giving to us, and the $3,000 that we'll be getting from the CHOPE, we'll have $48,000 to work with. And again, John or Rose or Claire can give more detail, but when we met last week, I guess, right, with Greg Bugby
Yep.
and Kevin McGee, Greg, he thought we could probably get most of it, of what we want to do with that amount, because the per acre cost that we got from a company that we used for the bid, turns out it was pretty high. And there are other companies that could be considerably lower who also are qualified in doing it. And whenever we do this, we'll have to go out to bid anyway, and we go with the lowest qualified bidder. So Greg seemed to think we should be able to get a good, either all of what we wanted to do or a good portion of it.
And they started working on it now, so they're getting the ball rolling to get the permits and the bids and all of that.
Just to summarize, the area that's going to be affected most is going to be the northern end by the boat ramp up around the choke area towards the large rock that's in the middle. Our beach area is also going to be worked on as well. But again, for some of the other folks who live on Lake Quantipic, our responsibility as Parks and Rec pretty much are centralized around the beach area. So what else we do beyond that is out of our jurisdiction.
And on that note, I think that support for that lake is broadening beyond what we've been able to do for the past several years, what limited abilities we've had. Because there's even discussion possibly of floating a bond for a more comprehensive solution. So the first selectman has been talking about that, and I know he's been talking with our legislators as well. So that might be a comprehensive solution, because we can't do the whole thing.
Well, Greg Bugby pulled out a study that came back in 1959 that said that Lake Quantipic was having problems with weeds. So this is not a recent occurrence. This has been ongoing for a generation of Guilfordites.
Yeah.
And I think we might hear from someone objecting that the weed problem has resulted from misapplication of pesticides many years ago. That's just someone's unsupported assertion, but nonetheless, that's out there. We just have to overcome that.
They seem to
We will.
stress that most of the weeds there are natural, not invasive. So they seem to think that we don't want to destroy the native plants either, because then that would affect the fishing on the lake,
It would.
as would lowering the lake or dredging the lake. So they had concerns about that as well. They said the raking could make it worse. So, but they did think that, you know, what we're doing is probably a good idea, and the mat
Mats.
might work. And, you know, they sort of suggested that we give the mats a year, see how it goes, and then maybe suggest to the other people living around the lake that perhaps they may want to put that in front of their houses, because it is not terribly expensive and would help. But I said, you know, as he said, let us try it 1 year to see, and then we'd have more to go back to them with and help them out.
Well, as John said, and as you said, we're meeting our responsibilities
Right.
Yes.
as a commission for that beach in the water.
There are areas
One of the
that are not
enlightenment-
ours.
But we could learn together.
One of the
Yeah.
things that was enlightened to me from Greg Bugby is one of the weeds that is, what is it, the Lake
Marigold?
Marigold? The Lake Marigold, which is,
It's rare.
it's
Yeah.
rare, and Connecticut is only a handful of states that considers it a protected species.
protected.
Okay, where other the states consider it invasive, we protect it. And that's something that we have to work around because we don't have any other choice.
Have they ever looked into a type of fish that would eat some of the weeding? Because I know in our neighborhood that we had, I had to deal with a weed on a very small scale. But what happened is I had someone come from the state and analyze the weeds we had, and they ended up recommending a triploid amur sterilized carp that eats those particular weeds. And they were approved by the state because they could not reproduce. They also had a specific drain and grate weir that was state specified as far as, you know, how you build it. And then they came down to inspect it, but it took care of our problem. And I just wonder if that's ever been talked about in terms of an option of putting fish that eat those particular weeds that have become so invasive.
My gut would say that these two guys have looked into this.
Everything.
Everything, yes.
Yeah,
Think of
so I think you
But
brought that to my
successful.
attention a while back, and I think I talked to Greg Bugby about it,
Right.
and I don't remember what the reason was, but
So that's not.
it didn't look like a viable solution at that lake.
Okay.
But I think you brought that up a while back, and I mentioned that to him.
Okay.
I was
it
impressed.
successful?
It was in ours, but we have a very small neighborhood, you know.
Maybe they'll look at it again.
But it
I-
just
I
happened to
personally
work
put
for
the
us.
fish in. I was impressed on how,
Yeah.
you know, these two guys were really knowledgeable, and they really cared about the lake.
Yeah.
And so I really felt that they were doing whatever they could to keep everything going as well as they could. They really seemed like they cared.
What company is this?
No, this was,
Kevin McGee, who's the environmental planner for the town, and Greg Bugby, Guilford
Both
resident, but he's
residents.
the,
Yeah.
works for the agricultural experimental
Very
station.
well,
Yeah.
you
very knowledgeable and, you know, really are trying to do the best that they can for
Yeah.
us, so.
No.
If I can, because, you know, this is televised, if I can just give a shout out, Greg has been phenomenal, Greg Bugby. I mean, over the last
I believe.
decade or more, he has volunteered 2 or 3 times a year. I would call him and say, Greg, the weeds are getting bad in the beach area. He would come with an underwater, like a weed whacker, and cut them down for us as a volunteer on his own time. He would just come out on, you know, after work hours or on a Saturday morning before the beach was open, and he's just fantastic. And he's very knowledgeable. He's written a book about invasive weeds in ponds and lakes in the state here. And he's a Guilford resident. We're really blessed to have him helping us out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing too is that he mentioned that Lake Quanapug is not alone
Yes,
with this problem. I mean, virtually all the other lakes in the area,
in the state,
in the state have similar problems.
yeah.
And so,
Good.
And money is
Rick-
tight.
And money is tight.
The state did draw down Lake Zor a few years ago, though.
Only because it is a river, so you just let it go through Stevenson Dam, and it's
The
easy to
Stevenson
do.
Dam.
I understand that.
This is not quite so
Unless you
easy
get
to
speed
do.
boots.
And he talked about that.
Oh, he did it good.
He did, and he said it would be really hard on Quanapug because the water level would have to go down so much, and then it would have repercussions.
He said the best option that ever came out was what happened at Guilford Lakes, where they drew the lakes down
Yeah.
to nothing. And they drained them completely, they cleaned the bottom, they harvested the silt and sold that off to pay for it. But that was the ultimate way to get rid of the invasive species.
And that wasn't an option at
And that
Quanapug
was-
because of all the surrounding,
Yes.
Because of the wetlands that
Because of the
the
wetlands
fish,
that surround the fish, right.
that used
That
the
the little
wetlands as a
brooks.
home, so we can't do that.
Brent, I'll also share with you, a friend of mine who's from Guilford also, I was like, I'm not gonna drop names or his company now, but he had approached me after he saw the video of the last meeting with the Friends of Lake Quanapug here, and offered kind of possibly reaching out to him to see what they can do. He has a company in Branford that he owns, and that this is what they deal with, is invasive species of plants, and so he, had some concern about what they could do to possibly help with Lake Quanapug, we could certainly talk with, so.
Yeah, so maybe when we get ready to write the
Right.
specs and go out to bid, we can talk to him and get him on the bid
But I
list.
said he's a Guilfordite, and he,
Yeah.
is concerned about it as well,
Okay.
so.
Any more questions on that issue? 8E, Rose and Rick have
Ah,
our
repairs
committee
and
of
refurbishing.
two.
Well,
Repairs and refurbishing of the community center.
so, yeah, we're moving along.
Okay,
But we do have some things that we do need to replace, and a couple of things. We wanted to add some benches, we wanted to get some nicer cabinets, and we wanted to maybe clean up the kitchen a little bit. The staff kitchen a little bit is looking a little weary. So what I would like to ask, or I would like to make a motion, that perhaps we can authorize Rick to spend up to $3,000 from our reimbursable fund in order to purchase these items. We want to get some really nice benches to match the benches we have. If you look over here by the exercise room, the shoe rack is just horrid. That needs to be replaced. And the chairs that are over there are literally gouging into the wall. So little things like that, but which will add up. We also talked about, when I did this with Barbara, about replacing some of the furniture. So to start with, I think, if you could authorize up to $3,000 for us to do that, maybe work a little bit on the kitchen for the staff.
aside from the kitchen thing, the other things are very visible. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
To start it with visibility as you're doing.
Well,
So
as
people can
stewards,
see what we're doing and see, because this building is what, 26 years old? 23 years old?
yeah, I was gonna say.
So I know Traston was on the commission as a secretary in 1993. Rose, I think,
I
was
was
at
on
the
the
time.
commission at the time.
But, and we're seeing new community centers, new senior centers built all around us in different towns. So I don't.
Well, we still have a very beautiful building, we just
We
need a
do.
little cleaning up.
But-
well, as stewards of a building, just like when you own your home,
That's right.
you need
So
to
it's time.
continually maintain
It's time.
That's
and
right.
fix. I make a motion that we allow the committee for repairs and refurbishing to spend up to $3,000 for the said items requested to take care of the needs
I'll
at
second
the
that.
moment.
Ready to vote? I'll
Absolutely.
let Rick write down what he has to write down
Okay.
Got it, Rick?
Yeah.
He can
All right.
multitask.
There you go.
here. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I just ask
I'll
that
meet
we,
you on Friday, Rick.
All right.
Okay.
Rose, can we just add to the list to make sure that all outlets have plug covers?
Yeah, and especially all the rooms that definitely have
For
them. I see some over
For
there.
people who bring their
Yeah.
children to meetings.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying
who
we're,
doesn't?
I'm here,
Yeah.
but I do know down by
I'll put
the
it,
main
no,
room.
I will, I'll put it down.
There's 4 outlets that
Oh,
don't.
my goodness. Push the 33.
Safety first.
I have like
When does Todd start? A couple hundred, oh,
You have that, Rick?
Right. Yeah, a couple weeks, I think.
okay.
He's all-
Operating budget.
Agenda.
The operating budget.
Operating budget, section F. Rick, Rose, and I were at the meeting, the joint meeting of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. And we advocated for the budget, the operating budget. Rick can probably tell you a little more about the operating, about the 5-year capital plan, where there was some changes in movement. But as far as the operating budget, we made the presentations. We think they're persuasive. Saying that the Board of Selectmen, I believe, was meeting today to finalize that proposed 2016, 2017 operating budget. So we don't know. But having said that, I think we were optimistic about some of the things. And Rick, if you've heard differently, just tell me. Our proposal for the handicap accessible mat for Jacobs Beach did not meet with any visible or notable opposition. The duct cleaning of this community center did not meet with any opposition. And the tennis court modifications and refurbishment at I don't want to say at Adams School, because it's not the school, but it's at,
State Street.
it's the tennis court opposite Adams School. And also, that's also used as a pickleball court.
And they were receptive to that?
Well, they were then.
That's
As I
awesome.
say, they met today, Judy. I don't know. And that was also in the face of questions about, well, why were our utilities going up for the so-called high school science wing, or what we call the fitness and wellness center, to the tune of $29,000, and that was the answer, because of that. And I can tell you, Rose, I was quick to point out that we're paying that, we're being cooperative with the Board of Education, but we're not seeing any benefit from it in terms of programs and services and also revenues. So we're doing our part there as well. And hopefully, when we meet and have the site visit and come back here and discuss it at some point, and we'll find out what we want to do with that.
I think when it comes down to the town forum, when they have that we need to be there, because I'm sure that will probably come up as a topic, that we need to be able to defend that. Basically, that was something that was unexpected. There'll be additional increases to the budget in the salary accounts, because the employees represented by the Guilford,
Gays.
it's GEA, I keep thinking of the other
I know,
GEA.
GEA, I
The
know.
Guilford Employees Association, they're in collective bargaining for a new contract that will begin, or scheduled to begin July 1st, 2017. So. Rick? Oh, just so you know, we're not through yet, because the Board of Finance at some point is going to be acting on the entire town budget. And then, of course, the taxpayer referendum as well.
I think you summarized it really well, Jack. You all got a copy of the budget, and it's got total.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. Excuse me. We're also getting an additional lifeguard for Jacobs Beach. And,
You have to talk louder. No mics.
okay,
A different.
I can't hear you.
Additional.
Speak up a little bit.
We're getting, we're getting an additional lifeguard for Jacobs Beach. And that goes along with, as you'll see, some of the other things that we also agreed upon as a commission for safety issues as well. That, for handicapped, physically challenged folk, cleaning the ducts and making the tennis court not only playable, but safe. So that's another thing that I think we can be proud of, and we'll have to defend it again, but that's okay. We'll do that. I'm sorry, Rick, go ahead.
Well, I think our bottom line, minus, this, again, the salaries aren't all in there, but I think it was about $29,000 our total increase, which was 1.94% or something, which is
Yeah.
pretty reasonable, I think. And that includes items like you mentioned, the $10,000 for duct cleaning. That's a third of it right there.
Yeah.
So I think it's, it's a good budget, and hopefully they seem like they had some questions of us, but I think that we try to be convincing of why we needed it. The capital, the first selectman asked all departments to defer some capital expenses to the following year. So whatever was going to be in, what year we here? 16, 17, we pushed back to 17, 18. And I think there were two, actually three in our budget we looked at deferring. One was a dump truck. I don't have the numbers in my head. I think it was 85,000. 80,000 was it?
It was a 58,000 item there.
And then, yeah, well, then there was
The cat,
the ATV, but there's also a pickup truck that's used more for the recreation side. I'd rather defer that than what the park guys need for snow removal.
right.
And it's about the same amount, it's around $28,000-$30,000, I think. And I said, I'd rather give that up and give the guys what they need to
Fair
get the
enough.
snow off. So we gotta replace that ATV at some point. And then on the capital projects, I think that was 65 or 68,000 in there for the Upper Cox Field renovations. We have 150,000, we thought we needed an additional 68. But there was 45,000, not to confuse things, that were being held for another project at Baldwin, a drainage project. We talked about this at the field committee. We think it's more important to do the Upper Cox project right now, so we would take that money, push it to Upper Cox, and then later on, when we get the other money, it was gonna go to Cox, we'll put that to Baldwin.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have the money that we need to do the Cox project. So we just shifted things around a little bit.
All right, good. Okay.
Agenda item 8G, the proposal to host the adventure games. Again, that is something that came in tonight. Looks like a multi-page document of
Yeah, and I don't expect you can all read this
11
right now.
pages.
Yeah, but if I could just summarize, the first page, I had sent it to Pam Millman, the town attorney, and she looked through it, and she had some comments on a couple of these things here that, you can read it when you go home, but the only reason it becomes a little bit, it's not really time consuming. You remember I brought it to your attention last month, and the idea then was to have this in April, and it's not. Now we're talking about June 4th and 5th is the date that would be available. Just to summarize, it's like a kid's Tough Mudder race, the mud races they have for adults, but it's for kids 6 to 13, I think. And there'd be obstacles that, if you remember the last time, all I had was what they were requiring us to do, but didn't show what they were gonna do. And so this, now I asked them to send a sample contract of what you were asked, what's the whole thing entail. And so they did. Pam looked through it, I've looked through it. There are certain things that would be our requirement. They list, what they would do. They bring staff, they bring all the obstacles, and but there is a financial commitment. You see in Pam's summary there, the very first paragraph. One of the things we had talked about, I think, last time. If we don't meet that minimum, we would have to make up the balance of it. Now, in speaking with the woman who presented this, Helene, her name is, she's out in Colorado. I think they can never guarantee that we're going to get the minimum, but they told us that every place they do it, it fills up. And the idea would be to run this on a Saturday, June 4th. If there's a big waiting list, we would then have another day, June 5th. So it's not a 2-day event, it's a 1-day event. If we don't have enough for a second day, you only run 1 day. Ellen, I think, originally brought this idea. Her kids, who are 6 and 9, were in a similar event up in Stowe, Vermont. She said it was a blast. The kids had a great time. It's all about teamwork. It's teams of 2. You have to work with, it's teams of 2. You have to pair up to go through the obstacles and stuff. So it's a good activity. It's exciting. Jack will tell you, when we had the spring field meeting, I mentioned to the guys who were there, and there weren't a lot. There were, representatives from 2 soccer organizations and Little League, I think, and lacrosse at that meeting. And I told them 2 things. One is, if we do this, June 4th and 5th, the fields at Vineyard will not be available, because we're going to need the fields, the woods, the trails, and everything there, and actually probably Baldwin, too. I didn't see any pushback, actually. They seemed to have some interest in it, and I said, actually, it'd be great if all the youth sports canceled that weekend, promoted this as an event, let all the kids in Guilford participate in this thing. And I think the minimum number was, if I remember right, was 150 teams, I think, that are needed, or 165, at $150, right?
Yeah.
To participate. There's opportunities for sponsorships, and, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. In fact, I even said at that meeting that we need like 25 volunteers, and if one of those groups, the Youth Lacrosse, wanted to be help us out by getting 25 volunteers, if we got to the point where we made money on it, because I think after the minimum, you split 35-65. They get 65, the town gets 35. Then if they were to help us with it, maybe we would give a donation or something to the organization for helping with it. I think it could be exciting. The only time-sensitive thing right now is that this group is in Colorado. They're willing to come out here in the next couple weeks to look at Vintner to see if they think it would be an appropriate site. And I said, well, before you buy a ticket, I want to make sure the commission says, yeah, let's go forward with, hey, we're serious about maybe considering this. And if see if Pam, as town attorney, had any major issues, liability or any other legal issues with it.
Rick, I can't make that commitment.
You can't right now without looking at this. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess,
If they fly out here, do we have to pay them?
Well, that was my question.
No.
They'd have to pay all their costs and expenses, right?
I don't think it's fair to ask them to do that until we're sure.
Right.
I mean, we haven't had a chance to read
I agree.
this, so.
yeah, well, that's why I wanted to get on the
concerned
agenda and.
I mean,
bring it
I
up.
see just off the top of my head, and again, we just got this, so I'm not versed in this at all, but off the top of my head from Pam Millman, the town attorney's comments, fun but dangerous, that was my one pull-up. I see 165 teams, which equates to 330 children in between 6 and 13 to participate in order to meet the minimum, so that we would not be charged or have to make
Right.
up the almost $25,000 difference.
Mhm.
And then I see down, that leaps out at me, is that, from my understanding, this could be a slippery, muddy, crowded obstacle course which lends itself to injuries.
There goes the field.
And we just had a big discussion
wouldn't
about
do
fields.
that.
So I don't want to be a negative Nancy here, but just in my brief perusal of this one pager, I see potential issues and I don't see a whole lot of, gee, this really makes me want to do it.
Well, the one that Pam was talking about, her son, who's an adult, was in one, and the adult ones are very dangerous, what they do. I think they would this is geared towards 6-year-olds.
Right.
So I think that whatever the obstacles are, it's not gonna be
Right.
like, what her son was
It's
in.
like going
What
out and
about
playing in the mud.
What about the fields in the mud?
Well-
We could use the
that's an
fields, that
issue,
would be the
though. That's an
issue.
issue.
We wouldn't have anything on the fields like that. There's no way I would
Be
allow,
around
we
in
would
the
allow that to
woods.
happen.
Where would they be?
In the woods area?
Yeah, well, a lot of it go through the woods, the trails through the woods. I mean, we'd have to pick a spot where the mud pit I would envision would be something like we put a tarp down somewhere, not on a field, maybe in between fields or something. And you wet it and you make mud, but not, believe me, we don't want to do anything that's we're talking about what's happening at Guilford Lakes.
Yeah,
We're not gonna
exactly.
have an activity that's gonna let anything ruin our fields.
I know where you could do it. Up in Nut Plains Park.
At the dog park.
On the dark parts of the
I saw this one coming.
So how are we gonna move
Bruce
forward?
Wayne Road.
to push it off to next month's meeting and
I
have
think
time
we have to,
look
yeah.
at
got
Give
it.
you
So
folks
we
more
have to
time to
have
really
time
look
to
at
read
it,
it.
have a little more conversation with
Yeah.
Dan. This
Yeah,
all
more
happened,
details.
I don't want the
late Friday
29th,
afternoon.
I don't
yeah.
want the pressure of people wanting to come out and see
No.
it.
Yeah.
Force us into
No.
any kind of an
We'll get
agreement,
back to that.
tentative or
It's a
not.
huge event.
Right.
If we do have an interest in it,
And then-
I'm sure that they would clear their schedules to come out here for that.
Mhm.
Because they're looking to me.
So why don't we table it till the next
I make a
meeting?
motion that we table it.
Yeah.
Second.
And by tabling it, I'm going to use that word loosely, because normally when you table, it has to be at the next meeting, but it might not be at the next meeting. But let's table it as if it were the next meeting.
Yeah,
Excuse me, we'll get more information.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could read this
So
through by
send
next.
it,
Yep.
read it, digest it.
So believe me,
Is there a motion to table?
sorry it
Yes.
wasn't in your
Yes, I
packet.
seconded it.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies, motion to table?
Yes, aye.
Aye, we're good.
Okay. Motion passes. Mr. O'Callaghan, you have one more, then you're up, so just get ready. We're going to talk about a historic sign at Rollwood Park, and that's going to be item 8H on the agenda. And that's going to be very brief, so get ready. And you can come up here and sit down if you'd like. Okay, you can get ready right now.
Any word on the sign?
Yeah, we met, when I say we, was Mike McBride from the Whitfield Museum, a couple ladies from the Guilford Garden Club, and George Page, who's going to fund the sign. He's going to fund all of it.
Wow.
George's interest is that his grandfather was the caretaker of the farm.
Wow.
And so he has a lot of sentimental value with that. So Mike is working on, we kind of talked about the dimensions of the sign, but Mike is, it's going to be a typical historic sign you might see in a state park or at a federal park or something. It's going to be that quality. And I told him that whatever they come up with still has to come to the commission for approval, because it is a park. And so but Mike is going to work on proposed photos and whatever wording would go in it. Just something would indicate the historic significance of that area there.
Okay.
Is he the, I was thinking about Mr. O'Callaghan, but is he the same man who is in charge of the museum?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the curator there.
The curator of the museum, okay.
Mhm. His interest in it is, and this goes back a while back, he and I were talking one time, I happened to be there, looking at, doing a tour of the house, and it had a display of the Rollwood Farm in the farm, not in the not in the house, but their office museum area there, where the gift shop is. And he said, people are always asking, what is that Stonehenge? What is that built, what is that?
Yeah.
And so we started talking, and I said, well, what if we put a historic sign there so people will know what it is?
Right.
And so that started a conversation. The garden club's been interested because they've done all the trees that are planted down there, they've paid for. And so they've been really interested in that park and being a part of it. And they pretty much had, well, they've had a strong interest in it in a while, and it was officially turned over to us in June of the 375th celebration. There was dedication
Right.
down there, formally turned over to our department as a park. And so then we had this conversation. So that's where it is, and it's moving forward, and it's great that George Page is willing to fund the sign. There's no cost to the
That's
department. We might help put it in or something, but he's gonna
so.
pay for
I
it.
know you mentioned that Mr. McGuire is going to be, working on the
McBride.
signs. McBride, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Excuse me, Mr. McBride. I know a lot of the signs on state facilities are like yellow and brown, or is his going to be a different color? I mean,
I don't know. I guess that's one of the things he'll bring to the commission.
yeah, okay,
when
I'm
he-
just,
I mean, most of the pictures are black and white, they're old
No,
photos.
okay. You see yellow and brown signs
Yeah.
a lot on state, okay.
Mm.
But we took longer than we thought.
Can I just check,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of new on this, so we had discussion back a few meetings ago about the Quantified room and the noise level. Remember you had brought up the noise
Yeah.
level? Okay, and then we had talked about possibly getting handheld mics.
I mentioned that to Rick and he said he would do it.
Okay, because I attended a planning and zoning meeting, the Guilford Day program was for the dispensary in town and stuff that I'm gonna tell you, it was so hard to hear
I agree.
in that room. I didn't realize it until I actually attended the meeting.
Thanks for bringing it
It
up.
was
Thank you.
really
Yeah.
annoying, I will have to say. It was,
It's
you
after the
couldn't
Minot
hear,
Center. You mentioned
I'm sorry,
Minot Center.
yes.
Yeah,
You couldn't hear a thing.
right, yeah.
You could not literally hear a thing. They either need microphones, you know, they have their mics for the video, but they really do need a microphone system there.
Right. We're working on another possible solution. The grate that the air travels through, and I suggested this to the HVAC company, that is our company, and they said, yeah, good idea, try it. I think Anthony hasn't got up and done it yet, but I suggested, let's take the grate off. A lot of noise might be because it's going through like, little, it's like the smaller one over there. And that may be what is part of the sound, is going through those little metal.
Because I was purposely paying attention to
Yeah.
it, and it never shut off until
Yeah.
probably about, and we were here late, like it was like
Yeah.
11:30, 12 o'clock that night that meeting ran, and it was maybe around 11 that it finally just kicked off. Like, you can kind of hear it now. It was just a
Right.
constant,
We also
Yeah.
have a guy from the train company, which is the company that designed the whole system. He's going to hear on Wednesday. And we're going through all that. It's one of the things we're going to talk to him about. And so we're just, our first thing, we're going to get those microphones, but not everybody, we did have them once for one of the planning and zoning meetings, and they didn't want to use them. We had them available, we borrowed them from the library, had it available, they said, no, we don't need them, or whatever, they didn't want them set up. So,
surprise, because even when people present
yeah.
and you listen back to it and you watch it on TV, you can't
can't
really
hear it.
understand what they're even saying.
So I'm going to see if we can physically do something to try to reduce the sound in there anyway. Yeah, it is very loud.
Now, Mr. O'Callahan, item 9, new business. Agenda item A, proposal for a dog park.
Bike park.
Bike park!
Bike park. Not
I am
another
so
one.
I'm tired of dogs, we're moving on to bikes.
She's going to get up and go home. He
I
says,
am
"Hey,
so sorry.
Does anyone need the
Go ahead.
proposal? I have copies. Do you guys have copies?
Yeah, we all
Yes,
have copies.
Okay.
Why don't you don't have to read it
Yeah.
word by word or line by line, you can highlight it if you
Okay.
like.
Okay, so my brother actually was, he's friends with Anna Buchanan, who was one of the volunteers for the dog park. And so he was just doing some volunteer work there and saw that there was a bike park. And I've heard about it before. There's a little bike park, back behind where the dog park is currently. And it's been in use for quite some time, as she just informed me as well. So I went there to check it out, and it's actually in use now. I have been there multiple times in the last, I'd say, 2 months. And throughout that period of time, there have been trails that have actually been made and small jumps that have been made. So I think teenagers, I think I saw a lot of trails being built during the winter break when college kids were back, so I don't know if it was a college kid or what, but trails have been made during this time that I've gone there and just ridden around. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to make this this bike park because of the topography that it has. It's very, very, I don't know, there's a lot of nice hills, and the topography could be very well used for a bike park. I'm thinking of making it what's called a pump track. I don't know if you guys saw the video linked,
Yeah.
but it's called a pump track. So it's just, a small circuit and a very small amount of land, very dense trails, So you can go on it in all different ways, and it makes the most of the land. But the main obstacle, which was told to us when I went with Rick, is that there's wetlands right next to it. And so the main thing is that it's from the dog park, it goes downhill. That's where I think the beginning of the bike park would have to be, because you can use that as a downhill into the bike park to gain some velocity. And then it goes into this basin, and it's pretty much dry. There's a very small kind of wet area that we would have to block off. But then it goes up, and there's a little berm before the wetlands, and it's very close. And right now, there's actually a trail that's on top of that berm, on top of that ridge. So we wouldn't be able to actually use that if we were to create the bike park, because by moving dirt around there, the sediment could very easily wash down into the wetlands, and that'd be, dangerous for the ecosystem. So if we actually were to pass this, we'd have to make some kind of fence or barrier at the top of that berm, and we'd have to make sure that all of the construction, which would be pretty minimal, just moving some dirt around and packing it, would have to be below that berm so that it wasn't going into the wetlands.
Yeah, I'm trying to conceptualize where that is,
It's
and help me
down.
with it. It's where the dog park
Mhm.
ends.
Yep.
It's on the trail towards the Chestnut.
It's just- it's
It's
just
where the
Right.
chestnut and the
Yeah.
community gardens were.
Help me out, though.
And-
It goes from the end of that proposed dog park through to the Chestnut Research Center, the American Chestnut Tree Research Center. However, on the right side of that, I'm pretty sure there are wetlands. And anything that is built there has to be at least 100 feet away from those wetlands as well.
Have you been down there other years? Like this year, it isn't, we haven't had so much snow, but when it is, there is a lot of water down there, so that would be a major concern.
Okay.
In the
I-
spring, it gets really mushy. I
Oh,
live
really?
right there, so it's like, it gets mushy.
Oh,
So it is a consideration.
okay.
Didn't mean to be rude when I said, oh, we can do this at Nut Plains.
Oh,
It's
no,
just
that's
like
fine, that's fine.
The dog, and
Yeah,
I'm right there, so.
yeah.
Have you
That's sarcasm.
walked this?
I was being
And,
sarcastic.
so apparently somebody's already made a path there.
Yeah, the kids have been down back there already.
Right,
Yeah.
so there already is a bike path.
They're using
Yeah.
it, yeah.
They're using it.
Mhm.
All right, so, and it is near wetlands.
Yeah.
Kevin was with us when we went, Kevin McGee, was the wetlands, involved with the
Right.
wetlands. And he pointed out the exact things that Brendan mentioned,
Okay.
that there's that little pocket, it's like, it's very dry right now, but
But in
it
the
is part of the
spring,
basin,
it's-
at the bottom of the basin, there's a lot of logs and stuff in it, just, debris in
Mm-hmm.
there. And he just said, yeah, you probably have to block that off so the kids don't ride their bikes through
Okay.
that. And then, as he mentioned, on the other side of the ridge is a wetland. And it doesn't go all the way down, like you were saying, Jack, it doesn't go all the way anywhere near the Chestnut Orchard. It's a
Okay.
pretty small area overall, I mean, it's,
Okay. I'll have to get down there.
I don't think it's an acre even, probably, it's pretty small. But it's compact, it's got a lot of this.
Which is what you
That's what they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another point I'd like to bring up is that, like, as she stated, there's a lot of kids riding it already. There's been trails being made. So if this doesn't pass, there's still going to be kids that are going to be making jumps and riding on it. So I mentioned this in here, but as well as the issue about it being wet in different periods of the year, people are riding on it. And so if we were to create a park out of this, we would be able to, close it off at certain periods of the year if it's particularly wet to ensure that kids aren't riding in it when it's dangerous towards the ecosystem and would damage the property. Just like, with the fields that we were talking about before, we can close the fields off. So if we don't have it as a park, I mean, it's kind of just up for anyone to use, just not really officially. So we would be able to maintain it and, have our hands over it.
And Brandon, when you mentioned, oh, go ahead, somebody
No,
else.
no, go ahead.
Well, when you mention bikes,
Mhm.
I'm assuming that you're talking about bikes that are powered by pedaling.
Yes, only mountain bikes.
Okay, because
Yeah.
there is another similar definition of bikes powered by
Yeah.
gasoline engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would
They
make
make a
it
lot
clear.
of noise.
Yeah, I know, and that would be, how do we regulate that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
okay.
very hard.
Yeah.
All right.
That
The
would
only
be a
way we
problem.
would be able to regulate it, I think, is to have a sign that's placed. And on that sign, obviously, the first thing we would have to write is, like, liability. Just like at the skate park, we'd have to say, like, use at your own risk, because it can be seen as dangerous. It is dangerous. But also what I talked about in here is that we would make it as minimally dangerous as possible, not having any steep drop-offs. But, other than the liability issue, we'd have to make sure that we say no motorized vehicles and anything else that we need.
There's one thing I just thought of, though, I have to look at where the fence is set to go, because the fence for the dog park kind of hugs around one of those ridges there. So we just have to look at that.
All right, well, that's something to, okay,
Yeah, I just thought about that.
all right.
And
Well,
what
let's do
about
that.
liability?
Oh, I didn't run that one by Pam yet.
I was just saying, we do have to run that by Pam
Yeah.
before we go anywhere.
I mean, I think as Brandon said, I'm not sure it's any different than the skate park.
Skate park.
I know, I think I just want to hear it from her.
Yeah.
just to be safe, I think we
Yeah.
need to hear it from the
Let
town.
me talk
to
to
be safe.
Kerma, our town insurer also.
I mean, the signs are up at the skate park, wear your helmet and whatever, but half the time the kids don't have their helmets on, but it's there as a rule, so they can come back with that.
Mhm.
And this way you're actually monitoring it.
How many,
More than
how
it's
many
being
kids
monitored
are,
now. I mean, it's.
how many kids do you think are using this?
I don't know. I've only been there probably 5 times just to check it out, and I've ridden around there. I've never seen anyone, but I know there's. The first time I went, which was about 2 months ago, there was one circuit. It was a figure 8, and then I think I went about 2 weeks after that, and there were 2 new figure 8 kind of things that were worked in there, and 1 jump. So I don't know how often people use it or, make trails, but
It'd be interesting to get a handle on that. I mean, do we have 10 kids using it, do 20 kids, 50? I mean, it'd be
yeah.
interesting to
The
get a
only one
handle on
I've seen
it.
is him.
Yeah, it'd be
So when we
interesting
met
to
up.
try to get a
And
handle
I
on how
know-
many kids
yeah.
are interested in this.
Oh, I know for interest, it'd be like once we get it public, because I didn't even really know about it. I think I heard about it when I was younger. But I mountain bike with my friends. We go up in the Rockland Preserve, and we found a pump track there, which is the inspiration I got for this. And so I know that my friend group would definitely use this a lot. And then I know of some other kids that mountain bike. So I don't know. I think a lot of people would be drawn to it if it was a park.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's certainly worth looking into at this point. We need to check with Pam, and we need to probably walk it and make sure.
Yep. I'm just wondering about the rule with the 100 feet. I mean, if that is like no exceptions, then this definitely wouldn't be able to go through, right? Because it's
We'd have
within
to-
100
that-
feet.
That is a very hard and fast
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah,
And it doesn't just apply to Nutlands Park.
Yeah.
It
Do they
is.
mean like a building has to be
Yeah.
100 feet or?
Anything.
Anything.
Any
Yeah.
Okay.
Check wetlands.
It's monitored by Inland Wetlands Commission here in town.
yeah,
And
So we definitely have to have them look at it.
We would have to get a
That's
wetlands
real
map
clear.
Yes.
done, in the survey that was done for the dog park, didn't go that far down, it went, where the dog park area was. So we probably would need to get a survey done and a wetlands mapping, flagging. And then the Wetlands Commission, if we did that, would take that and go out there to either approve it or not.
so if it's, I'm just thinking, is it enough to say that we would be like, having control over like the use of it? Or is that not enough because it is
Who's
within
we?
100 feet? Huh?
Who's we?
The Parks and Rec.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Would it be enough to say that Parks and Rec
Right.
would be monitoring it and therefore preserving the wetlands, even though it's
No.
within
The
100 feet?
Wetlands are enforced by the
Yeah.
Inland Wetlands Commission and
Yeah.
other bodies. We'd be responsible for, as a part of a park, that we have jurisdiction over, the activities within that mountain bike park.
Okay.
Meeting the restrictions by the
Yeah.
wetlands.
I mean, if the dog park, even though we're taking care of the dog park, if we're too close to wetlands, we could not put it there.
Yeah.
So we have to do some checking.
Yep.
So what we'll do is we'll have to take some time checking and
Yeah.
reviewing it.
Yeah.
And perhaps we'll talk again. And I would say this to you, though. There is a mountain bike park already existing, a formal one in Guilford.
Where?
I thought you'd never ask. It's on the Westwoods Trail. And you could approach it either from, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, the 3 Mile Course Road
Yep.
or Peddler's Park Road, Peddler's Road.
Yep.
And you can enter it from Peddler's Park Road or 3 Mile Mountain, 3 Mile Course Road.
But there's no figure 8.
Yeah. That's just an outline trail.
It is there.
Yeah.
But it is, and just to say what it is not,
We can
though.
make one.
I can tell you, Brendan, what it is not, as far as I can determine, it's not a pump track,
Yeah.
but it is a track that's recognized by that park, and presumably the neighbors as well.
All right.
So thank you very much for your patience.
You did a great job.
You did a fantastic
Good job.
job. I think we,
And we'll be back. Yes.
thank you very, very much.
You're professional.
So you will hear from us.
Are you interested in being a lawyer? Or?
I don't know, no idea.
Oh, okay, well, you can, the world's your oyster. You can pick whatever you want.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay.
hard work.
Have a nice night.
You
So,
too.
Thank
where
you.
did I see this revision? Here it is. Two big things to go, don't we?
Moving on.
Okay.
9B, the proposed revision to dogs on the leash ordinance for the dog park. And we have that, it's called draft for discussion purposes.
Okay.
Rick?
Yeah, I think just want to draw attention to the, if you go halfway down, the, new subsection
Say
E, that's really what we, I think, are going to look at. And, I don't know, about,
That's as amended, that, when it's amended, that's what it's proposed to look like.
this is where the amendment would be.
Right.
And so the whole point is that the current ordinance says no dogs off leash anywhere.
Right.
So you have to change that to let them be off leash in the dog park. So Pam, I asked her to do this for this meeting so we can kind of, try to move forward with it so that, I know it's gonna take a couple months to get this done, because after, whenever the commission approves it, it has to go to the board of selectmen for approval. So anyway, one thing I did mention to Pam though is if you go about halfway down where it says, subject to the provisions of dog park rules and regulations and general statutes, dogs shall be permitted without a leash and digging by dogs shall be permitted. That, and I asked her about that, and you see my note to her on the next page.
Digging for what?
Wait, there's something on their, did you see that on their Facebook page about that? That was just acknowledged the other day about digging. And they were saying how if a dog digs, it's the owner's responsibility
Right.
to cover the
Fill
hole,
it in.
not
Correct.
Park and Rec or like anybody else that's
And that should
overseeing
be
the.
in the rules. My
Yes.
question is, why would we put in the ordinance that digging is
Well,
allowed?
I don't think we can say dogs can't dig there, because they're going to.
We're gonna dig, but.
No, we just don't,
Yeah.
don't say
Why
anything.
add it in there?
But why put it in there and say they
Right.
can?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, unless she has a good legal reason for keeping it there.
Well, you see, in the next page, I
Yeah.
said to her, doggone it, you're good.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not sure about the allowing of dogs to dig, should owners be required to fill the holes, just concerned about tripping.
Yeah.
And then she said she thought the rules and regs we posted permits dog digging as long as owners fix the hole.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you want to put, I'm just wondering, do we put that in the ordinance? That's
Why
allowed to
even
dig?
put it there? It might
No.
give people ideas.
I agree.
But
Take it out.
our rules and and they mentioned that tonight, our rules and regulations would certainly require that and cover that. Ours meaning,
Did the holes be repaired, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But why add it in to begin
No,
with?
I understand that.
I
I'm
guess
just trying to say, if she has a legal reason, let's hear it.
I'm not sure.
Otherwise, I don't think it is
Did she
necessary.
respond to when you said that? Let me just read that.
Yeah, she thought that it would be covered by the rules.
Certain circumstances.
Right. it's a-
What
it's a-
circumstances?
Yeah.
So I think she answered your question. Your rules. And that would be the rules of the dog park, not the rules and regulations of the ordinance. Well, why don't you check it with her, Rick?
Well,
Yeah.
it says
I mean, this is
permitting
beach
by
law.
certain circumstances. I can't think of any circumstance that you want to have a dog digging in a public park area. I'm
You would,
sorry,
you
I
would
did-
not, John.
You would not.
Would not.
Right, well, that's the
That's like
nature of
an
the dog park.
unruly
that they
kid
dig.
that's not being disciplined.
Unless they're trying to get rid of the
But if this is the
moles.
ordinance here, and it says your dog's
Then
not
that's a
allowed
good
to
reason
dig,
to.
Well,
then
and
you've
and
got
this
to change
also,
it in this ordinance to say the dog is allowed to dig.
it also
Yeah, you're
does
right.
not follow up with
I mean,
a
the first one
reiteration
says, no
of
digging.
what our rules would state on the dog park rules that say if your dog digs a hole, that you would fill it in. So it's not even reiterating that here.
No.
It's just referring to that they can dig, but it doesn't reference again what our rules would say, saying it has to be filled in, so.
I hate to bring up an old subject too, but when we went through all this with regarding to Daniels Street,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Just thinking.
the dogs are not on a leash when they are playing in the water, so how
They're
is this?
supposed to be.
They're supposed to be,
They're
John.
supposed to be, though.
They're supposed to be.
You're supposed to have a dog on a leash in the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The same, you're supposed to have your dog on a leash when you walk Goss property, but
But they don't.
Well,
nobody
Right.
does.
It's supposed to be on a
That's-
leash
that's
if it's
clear.
not on your.
Because that's not even a confined area as well. This would be a confined area where they'd be off leash, but they still would not be able to run.
And
They're
that's how we got the votes to pass that thing, by saying that the dogs would have to be on the leash at those parks. Otherwise, I can tell you, politically, we wouldn't have had the votes here for that.
Right.
The long-term, I'm sure a long-term goal would be maybe to
did this
designate a
draft?
beach where they don't have to have the leashes on there.
Maybe maybe we should ask her what the reasoning was to put the digging in there. It
Right.
seems like there has to be some sort of a reason why, I mean, she's an
I
attorney.
think she said
why she would've-
because she feels that it's covered in the rules that we're gonna be posting.
So you
on
allow
there,
it
but
to, in
I
order
don't
to
see why to
keep
put
them
it
out.
in.
No, I just,
That's
yeah,
all.
Just tell us we don't think it's necessary, Rick.
I thought if you see your dog digging, you have
And
it.
assure her that our rules, the rules and regulations of the dog park
Mhm.
will certainly take care of that.
But why write it in here?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is just a
if she
draft
takes the
anyway,
dog digging
so-
out, are we okay with this? We don't have to come back to another meeting? and-
Dogs and dogs.
Yeah.
Yes,
Unless something is
Lion.
crucial, we don't, no.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
unless it's something really substantial.
Right. We through with that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the plan is she's gonna remove that and we don't have to act on it because it's only a draft, so we'll come back as a final.
Yeah, and if she has some compelling reason to why it should be there, I'll email everybody. and
Okay.
At least you can see why.
That's fine.
Okay.
9C, beach fees.
Okay.
And we have a two-page document that starts with proposal for beaches 2016.
So, I have a question,
Go ahead.
and maybe I'm just not reading this right. If we put the small kiosk, and the gate guard is stationed at the kiosk, why does it eliminate the gate guard being used as a crossing guard? Or does this mean we have to now have a crossing guard?
No,
I'm
I
not
think-
getting this.
I think it'll eliminate, the gate guard technically shouldn't be crossing the people. The police department doesn't really care that they do that. They don't like that they do that because they're not trained and, you know, they don't
Right,
have a
Right.
vest
Vest or whatever,
on,
yes,
or whatever.
I get it.
And I think it's a holdover from, if you remember years ago, before the light was there, we used to have a
Yes,
lollipop
yes.
stop sign.
Yes.
And our
Yes.
gate guard just standing in the middle of the Route 77, hoping
Oh,
trailer
yeah.
trucks would stop.
Yeah, no, I know, that was.
And we
I did.
eliminated that, we put the light in there, and so now it's a push button. They just do it as a courtesy, they help people come across the road, parents, you know,
Right.
adults have
Okay,
like
so
little
what
kids,
is-
beach chair, they help them, you know.
Okay.
So-
Why would this be eliminated then? Why wouldn't we continue to help people across the road if
Right.
they needed it?
We don't want to lose positions up there, Rick.
Well, I don't think we would, I
No,
think
no,
they would now
no,
be in the
no,
kiosk
no,
instead of
yeah.
standing there in the road. But just, I'll give you like a 1-minute history. When I first came, it was a sticker on the car, and there was a little kiosk in the parking lot.
Yes, there was.
And people would drive in and had, their beach pass was their sticker, same thing was
Yes.
happening at Jacobs Beach. We changed that because there were people parking on Route 77.
Right, yes.
Walking in for free,
Right.
because it was a parking pass
Right.
in a way, not a access to the beach pass. And so I'd spoken with the police chief at that time, which was Ken Cruz, and they, you know, it's a state road, so the town can't post no parking there, it's a state highway. But people were parking, you know, by what used to be the scuba shack, the little building just south of the park there. And they were walking up the road, and I remember seeing people walking with, you know, a beach chair in one hand, and a little kid in the other hand, and walking up Route 77, and they were getting in for free. And so, there were people who were paying and doing the right thing by parking in the parking lot, but they were paying to use the beach, these people were walking in for nothing. So that's why we went with the system that we have there. I think the point that Ellen and Lindsay are making is it's not that, at Jacobs Beach is different from Quantipoc, so it's confusing to people. Jacobs Beach is per car. It's, you know, it's cost.
And you can walk it.
You can walk in, but they're supposed to pay though, even when they walk in, because it's not a parking fee, it's a user fee. But technically, if somebody comes in on a bicycle and walks in, they're supposed to pay the fee, just like people used to kayak across Lake Quantipoc, think they use the beach for free. I said, well, no, you have to pay. There's a cost for lifeguards and everything. It's not, because you live on a lake doesn't mean you have free access to the
Right.
beach. So, so it is inconsistent the way we do it. The beach pass or the daily fee at Jacobs is per car, At Lake Quantapug, everybody has to have a beach pass
Right.
to get in through the gate, or they can come as a guest
Yes.
on the beach pass.
Right.
So their suggestion was to streamline it and make it the same at both. And to do that, we wouldn't have to have the gate guard be at the gate, they would now be in the parking lot, in the, like little kiosks like we have at Jacobs. So that was, a proposal that they
Wasn't
gave
that
to
done a
me.
long time ago? Wasn't it, it was done that way a long time ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because that's what I'm remembering, but,
Right.
yeah.
And that's what we
Okay.
changed it, like I said, because people
Because
were
of the
walking
gap.
up and getting it for nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I have to admit, I haven't used either Jacobs or Lake Quantapug in a while. Are we saying that we have to have a separate protocol for each beach? You don't have a uniform?
It's
I
separate
think
now.
that's what
That's
they're
what they
trying
want to do, they
That's
want to
what-
make it uniform
That's what
now.
I'm
That's
thinking,
what-
of
yes.
look, because right now, I'm saying to myself,
Yes.
you've got to be either A or B. You don't have a.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uniform
current fee
protocol.
is $7 at
Well, that's the-
Quantapug,
That's a
Yeah,
problem. though.
$7 per car at Jacobs per person at Quantapug. So
Right.
But Rick, even though that's,
We need to-
even though that's a state road, the south end of the beach where the gate ends,
$7.
you know, the fence,
Mhm.
we can't, as a town, have a little sign there that just notifies people that this is a paid, you know, for maybe an out-of-towner that comes and maybe doesn't realize that you have to pay, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I know you're not supposed to be parking on the state road anyhow,
I don't think you can just put signs
but
on
you
the
just
state
can't,
road.
like, put something there
No.
that says something.
The grass area south of the fence
Yes.
is town property also.
Okay.
We mow that as all part,
Okay,
right into the
okay,
woods
yeah.
is town property.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean, again, the reason we did it as we did and made it different from Jacobs Beach because people were getting in for free. They were just walking in there. And it's hard for, because the lifeguard's job is to watch that water. They can't be
Right.
constantly running
No,
over to the
no.
grass and
Mm-mm.
try to chase people out, whatever.
Different job.
And so, what Alan and Lindsay, and Natalie is the aquatics director, what their proposal was to try to streamline it, to make it equal. What we do at Jacobs Beach would be the same as what we do at Quantico, and it isn't the same right now. For those reasons that I just mentioned, that's why we went that direction.
But to
I think it needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
To be able to anticipate a problem, though, the fee for active citizens at Lake Quantapug right now is $7, and their proposal would increase it to $10. We had some issues earlier in the year about increasing fees for pickleball, which is a largely
No,
seasonal activity.
that's the daily fee was $7. Isn't the $10 for the whole
Non-resident,
pass?
it's non-resident, $10
$10
daily
for
fee
the
for
pass.
non-resident.
Yeah, I think, they're
There's a
not, they haven't
difference.
addressed the
This is
daily fees,
$10 for the
this is a
pass.
seasonal pass we're talking about.
And this is $7 per person on a daily fee, that's if you don't have a pass.
But that's not, there isn't any place for that here, though, right? On their proposal,
Yeah.
on the document.
Yeah, it is. On the next page, it shows daily fees.
That's current.
That's the
what we're
current,
trying to do.
Judy, that's current.
Yeah, but it says
Well,
down
I'm
here,
understanding what the,
Jack, underneath it says daily fees, $15 per car. Right now, it's $7 per person. They're suggesting that we do the same thing we're doing at Jacobs, so it'd be $15 per car at Quantico.
Well, I understand the reason for consistency, but
But that would be the change.
That would
This
be the
would no
change.
longer be $7 per person.
It would be
It would be
$50
replaced with $15 per
Per
car.
The same way it is here.
Like,
That's a better deal at Quantico, but it's costing more at Jacobs. Right now, it's
Yeah.
$7 per car at Jacobs,
right.
it doubles it
mhm.
per car at Jacobs.
How did they
Do you
come up
think
with that? Yeah, with that
Don't know.
rationale for that, I wonder. If we're talking about consistency, why are we not consistent with the amount, I guess? I'm
Well,
not-
it would be.
No, I agree.
It would be, that's what it would be $15 per car at either.
No, but right
On a
now,
daily
it's
basis.
$7
$7
at Jacobs
They're
for
doubling.
their
they're
cars.
doubling it.
So
Right.
why?
Right.
Why they're doubling it? So I'm just wondering how they came up with that fee versus keeping it.
$10 or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raising both fees, but them
Yeah.
being the same.
Well, so I think, just again, a brief summary here is that it would cost more per car at Jacobs Beach, but it would be less at Quantico, because right now, for a resident, $7 a person, if they don't have a season pass, we're talking about daily fees. Right now, it's $7 a person for a resident. So if you have 4 people with you, that's $28. Now it's only 15.
Right.
Now, but if you're an individual, you're paying more.
Right.
But if you have a carload,
Right.
it's a good deal. So,
Everyone should
Well,
just get
we have the
passes.
fees set for
Right.
this spring though, right?
This is what they're.
well,
This is
this is
what
why we're
Massa's
bringing it up, because
proposing.
they're trying to finish the brochure that's gonna go out
Yeah, I
pretty soon.
understand that.
They're trying to
Yeah.
finish it in about the next week or so. And all the spring, it's gonna be a spring and summer brochure like we did last year, so all those fees have to go in there. This is a proposal, we can change anything we want, and, you know,
Well, not to, I think I see what you're all are saying, that that's a huge jump. And so it might make it more palatable if we went to $10 per car for resident and $20 per car for non-resident.
Is there, do they have statistics on,
Other,
on how, I mean, I know at Jacobs, people come and go that don't have passes, so they pay the $7 car fee. But at Quinnipiac, are they collecting a lot of individual fees, or is it the majority of people have passes?
boy, I can't off the top of my head tell you the breakdown, but there are a lot of fees collected on a weekend there.
Mainly on the weekend.
More so on the weekend, yeah. A lot more non-resident use, and a lot of non-residents that come on the weekend, they picnic, up in the picnic grass area there.
Then
and
can I
come over.
suggest that you, just an option for them to look at, a weekday fee of keeping it $7, consistent with Jacobs, and then a weekend fee, like most state parks. There's a weekday fee,
Mhm.
and it jumps on the weekends. If you find that
Yeah, that's what does that.
so I mean, you have $7 during the week, $10, or
Mhm.
$7 on the week, and 15 on the weekends, because that's kind of consistent with Hammonasset, that's what they do
Will
in other
that
states.
cover fees for paying lifeguards and whatever? You gotta consider possibly they went this high so that all the fees for supervision would be covered through the summer.
Well, it has been suggested to us that we try to raise some more fees for the town budget, at beaches.
But not by jeopardizing other people, though, that's the thing.
Not
Yeah.
the loss of people.
Well, my question here on this one, for the new changes, where it says an individual pass. So $40 for the adult male in a family, $25 for each additional pass. Does that include $25 for each child as well? Or do you have a family pass that you can give out to everybody and caps it at a certain dollar
Not
amount?
clear.
So the current household pass is $50, that's if you look at the page behind it.
Right, well, this one
$50,
looks,
and that's one or two adults and children through age 17. I think that, I would think that would be the same, to me, that should be the same parameter. If you're a resident and you buy a $40 pass, if you got, you can bring your kids on that pass. The extra 25, the reason we did that, when we do household passes now, we give two. So it's almost like 25 each, we give two passes, and the reason for that is,
One parent.
one parent's there, and then the other one meets them after work, or whatever, comes after whatever, and they meet up with them, so they have a second pass, so they don't have to, one group's already on the beach, the other one meets them later on, comes down later to swim or picnic or whatever. And so I think that was the proposal then, they could get a second one if they want it for the second individual in their household, adult, but it would be for additional $25, not $40. So that would cost a household $65 and
as
$50
opposed
now.
to 50.
So
Right.
right off the bat, we're not consistent between parks.
correct.
For
No,
the
but
sake
we
of
want to be.
consistency.
No, we're not.
For
We
the,
want
but
to
I'm
be.
saying right now, I mean, what we're talking about, this proposal, it's still not bringing, if we're looking
No, the
at being
beach-
consistent, that's
I
not
believe the passes are consistent.
Consistent.
What's
Yeah.
not consistent are the Sunday and Saturday fees.
right.
Yeah, right now, we
But-
don't have a Sunday and
The
Saturday.
passes
fee.
are consistent for both.
But then would you get anyone to argue to say going to a lake versus the
No.
ocean?
No.
In
Because you can
fee-
go to both.
fee-wise?
You can
I
go to
mean,
both.
But if you're not doing a pass, if you're doing individual, would you pay less to go to a lake than you would to go to the ocean, or would you pay the same amount?
Some could say that.
And the beach at Quantipiac is smaller, it's a lot smaller.
Some could say that there are fewer amenities
Right.
at Quantipiac
Quantipiac.
than there are at the surf club.
And it's a much smaller beach.
At
The beach.
Jacobs.
We don't have a
Or
surf
Guilford.
club.
I'm thinking of the fees in Madison.
Right.
We don't have a surf club.
Just think
There
about
are
this,
really
you're gonna
nice
have to
beach
have,
there.
you're gonna have 18-year-old kids explain this to adults, so we have to keep it simple.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can't come to an agreement now, we gotta be able to make it so that an 18-year-old can explain it to.
Right.
Well, let's have a study committee of that. And no, really, of adults.
Well, they,
No,
I'll take-
it's not gonna meet his
They've gotta print them.
requirements for
they've
to
gotta
get
get
the,
Oh, we
this
keep it the same for
in the
this year.
brochure, and the brochure needs to go out.
yeah, the brochure needs to go
But
out.
this says resident, I guess I'm confused then, because this says resident $40 for the first pass,
So now it's changed to
25 for
65.
each
Mhm.
additional
Alright.
pass
What-
within, but this says on the back here,
Well, that
Because
should,
this is
50.
what current.
no, that should be his household, you're right.
So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. it's not-
Resident should be household,
Right,
and it is, but this one is 50
50.
for two passes.
correct.
And they're
They want to
raising it.
change this now to $40 for the first pass, and if you
So
want
now
the
it'd be
second for your house,
65.
it would be 65.
Right.
But they're giving you the option of only
I think
going
that's
with
a lot.
40 if only mama goes to the beach or only dad goes to the beach.
Right.
So
So right
if
there we
both
are
go to the
raising.
beach, we're raising that a bit.
Yeah.
Now,
And
are we
then, but
finding
we're
it-
not raising the active adult over 55. That is
Right,
staying the
that
same.
stays the same.
Rick, the reason for the raise, is it extra staffing? Is it,
Oh,
what is
look at the
actually
extra
the,
lifeguard.
is there
No,
a reason why that we need to raise in general?
Again, I think they were trying to look at taking the household,
Yeah.
shrinking that down a little bit, but it does make the individual go up. And they're also trying to reduce, take one level out. Right now, we have 3 levels. We have an individual, $25, household, 50, or senior, 10. And so they're knocking out one of those layers. And so it's basically two, you're a senior or you're not. So anyone who's not a senior, based on this proposal, is $40.
I honestly, I wouldn't do that. I
I
would
wouldn't
still
either.
keep the 3 tiers.
I would
Because as, you know, if a 40-year-old that just moved here and living in one of the condos down
It's
there.
affordability, I mean, it's.
Yeah, why do you want to discourage someone?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I mean, we're already
Well,
paying
the main point
taxes.
that we
Right.
did last
Exactly.
time was, we built the beach at Jacobs for people to come and use.
We want to
And we
encourage
didn't
them.
want, we want to encourage them to
Right.
come. We don't want to
Right.
penalize them now that we've
Right, but it's
fixed it
nicer
up.
and that
Right.
like that,
And then
right.
not having spent all that time, effort, and money to make it
I agree.
a really great beach
totally
and
agree with that.
user-friendly and fixed up and
But
aesthetically
now we're gonna raise the
pleasing.
price on you.
Now we're gonna raise
Yeah.
the price.
Right.
That was why we stayed away from that
Right.
last time.
Yeah, but that's the pitfall, though, that we face as a commission, as members of the commission. In getting a proposal like this, you know, with the statement that, well, you gotta get this done today because they're gonna put out the brochure tomorrow. And that's not fair to the commission.
Right.
We could have had this last month to get ready for whenever they put
Yeah,
out the.
I
or
would
during
leave it. I
our
wouldn't
budget
raise anything.
deliberations back in
Yeah,
October,
we
November.
talked about it in October.
Yeah.
My feeling would be, yes, I would like to see it universal, because I do think it makes it easier for everyone. It makes it very, you know, anyone could read it and
Clear
figure out
about that.
how much it's gonna cost to go to a beach in Guilford.
Right.
Great. But I definitely would not combine. I would keep it active, individual, household, make it very clear what a household is, make it very clear what an individual is. And if you wanna go per car, I would do the weekday fee and a weekend fee.
I like that idea.
I do
And
too.
yes, do you have 5 steps now? Yeah, but keep it consistent across the board and don't discourage anyone from coming. And I honestly, I don't know if I wouldn't raise if you don't have to, I wouldn't raise the household. If you're not raising the active, I really wouldn't change individual and household, but I would look at the daily fees. And that's where you're gonna make your
I
extra.
think it's a reasonable compromise, that keep the beach passes just like they are,
Right,
but adjust the daily fees.
yes, I agree.
Yes.
I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah,
And make them consistent.
yeah.
Mhm.
We want people to come to the parks. That's why
Exactly.
we work so hard
And
to make it the
and the
way
easiest
they
thing is to go per car. We agree.
If that's gonna
For
be
the
the
week.
easiest for, at both places, then yes.
But again, we don't have the numbers about where's our highest volume
Right.
Right.
to make a decision
Right.
on that. Because if we
Well,
raise it
it's
for
pretty
one that
obvious.
happens to be
Right.
a really big draw, and then people, forget it, it's up, I'm not coming, we
But if we
lost.
leave it, I mean,
More at
basically,
Jacobs.
they're paying $7 per
The
car.
the majority of the money we get is, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I can remember them. I'm not gonna be exact, but the majority is from beach passes, seasonal passes. I'm gonna say it's probably somewhere around $37,000, and maybe 9, 10, 12,000 of daily fees we collect. So most of them we get is, I think we want to encourage people to buy the
Buy the
pass.
passes.
Because quite frankly, I'd rather not have our gate guards collecting all this money.
Right.
I mean, they do, because we make it convenient for people that don't have a pass, they can pay there at the gate. I think I like the idea, you know, professionally, personally, that we just stay with the season passes as they are, but tweak the daily fees, and then if you all agree, the daily fees at the lake would be per car as opposed to per person.
Yes.
I guess we see how that works. If we start having a problem again with people walking in, then we gotta adjust it. The next year, we say, well, that didn't work.
Say, if we go per car, and, I mean, I think Claire's got a point, maybe $7 for a weekday, and, I don't know, we can
You can double it for the weekend.
double it for the weekend.
I don't know if I would double it. I don't know if I would, I don't know if I would double it.
It seems, that's when
Seems a lot,
people
right.
would be using it.
Yeah,
every day.
more so
But
on the
$15
weekends.
for
What
a
is it to go
family
to Hammonasset?
is not a lot.
Do you know?
It was $10 during the week, I think, and 14 on
So
the
they don't
weekend.
double
So they don't
theirs.
double
No.
theirs.
They don't double theirs.
I could be wrong, I don't go to, I buy pass, so I don't
Yeah.
do daily fees, I buy pass.
I get
Which
mine
is
free 'cause
60.
I'm old.
Someday I'll
You
get
can to all the
there.
parks.
I can go to all the parks, right? Doesn't cost me anything anymore.
Now, we can charge non-residents double we charge resident, we haven't. We've gone 7 and 10, 7 for resident, 10 for a
That's what I was
non-resident.
thinking, was
By
7 and 10.
state law, we can charge double. Because there is state money in there, so you
Now
can't
we
charge
should
more than
figure out
double.
who's
But we just
coming,
never
like-
went that
Now
high.
I wish we could break it down to like, who is coming? Is it the non-residents coming more? Is it the, you know?
Yeah,
That's-
we don't want to break down that
We
way.
don't need to.
I know.
Yeah.
But we do charge more for the non-residents, so that's
I don't
a
think-
given as well, and we charge double.
I don't think we should change it, what we've
I really don't either.
established. I mean, I get the whole weekend, weekday, but you know, again, I want people to come.
No,
And you know what?
I
People
feel
are
that
so
way.
squeezed nowadays
Yeah.
that this is a fun activity that parents and
Mhm.
families and extended families can use. And I hate to just keep raising it a little bit
Mhm.
and.
But honestly, if you were
but
gonna use
then
Lake
the
Winnebago
care
on the
and
weekend, $7 a person, if I brought my
maintenance.
entire family,
That's expensive.
I'm.
Oh, no, we'd have to change it to
No,
per
that
car,
has
we'd
to-
have to make
that
that.
has to
consistent.
go.
Okay, I thought you were meaning.
Oh, yeah, no, I
No,
think we should
keep that.
definitely be
Okay.
consistent with both and the
We're
car
all
thing.
I'm like,
But
I
not-
wanna pay $7.
I want you to go.
But I don't think we should, and
And I think the plus too at Quanapug now with the use of the kayaks and the paddle boats, that's really a big draw now there.
Mhm.
Whereas, you know, Jacobs has a lot more amenities with the playground and, you know, it's a bigger area. But I see, I mean, I live, you know, in Northfield, I see Lake Quanapug busy because of those.
It's
But why
busy.
not double it
amenities.
for the non-residents?
non-residents is where you can,
Why not double it for the non-residents?
yeah.
So keep it $7.
$7 for residents and 15
So-
for
And
non-residents.
I'm not
Well,
trying to
14,
make
you can't go
this
more than that.
harder,
Keeps it
but,
within the law.
so
Yeah.
now
$30.
are the gate guards now having to look at
Right.
license?
Well, they do anyway.
Do they?
Yes, because there's always been a different fee for residents and non-residents.
But do that.
Well, they're supposed to.
Well, it may be, yeah, maybe on their honor, I don't,
You know, but
Yeah.
there always has been so.
I mean, no offense, but if I was 16 sitting at that gate and I see 5 cars pulling in, I'm letting you go. Give me your $7 and go.
Well,
They gotta look at their.
It could happen, but, you know,
Do they have to keep track at all of the money that they're
Yeah.
like they have to, okay. So
Mhm.
there's like some bookkeeping there that they have to,
what's turned in.
Okay.
I don't know, well, on the weekends, not daily, but I think during the week it's daily, and weekends it's Monday, we get the money.
But I don't pay cash at the transfer station. So maybe we need to rethink that.
oh, that please.
I mean, I don't wanna
Get the
complicate
phone with the
things,
little
but
Not
honestly.
tonight, let's wait until it becomes a problem. So far it's working. That could be a real problem.
Okay, so what's our?
So, all right, so I would
Conclusion.
recommend, I mean, do we need to put this, I mean, I would just recommend,
Resolve it.
basically, I think what we said is we'll want to keep the beach passes as they are, be consistent and change both to per car, and 7 for resident and 15 for non-resident?
Where are you? I'm sorry, I was talking to you.
14, I wouldn't go over double.
But then we gotta play,
Can you start again?
then we gotta play single.
We can't go more than double.
All right,
You
then
want to
14.
encourage people to come
Then
to
14.
Guilford. That's
All
just how I
right,
feel.
14,
You
I was
don't
just
wanna-
trying to round it. All right, I said we would keep the beach passes as they were,
Mhm.
Okay.
and then for the, daily fees,
Non-resident.
7 for resident, 14 non-resident.
But
And
we
we
would
would be
change-
consistent Monday through, why does it only say Saturday, Sunday? What do we do, Monday through Friday? Let anybody in? I mean, what?
Well, it
Does
says
say
day-
Saturday, Sunday? Oh,
Should probably say Saturday through Sunday.
Sunday through Saturday, I think it's all week.
Sunday through Saturday,
Yeah, I
oh,
know, I
wait,
just,
yeah,
yeah, I should-
okay.
I'm not sure why it's
All
like
right,
that.
I don't know why they, yeah,
So 7
and 14.
Guilford residents and 14 for non, and that's, no,
Daily. Yes, that's your daily fee.
right.
And
And
that
the
should keep it
others
simple.
stay the same for
We'll
beach
keep the others the
passes.
same for now.
Okay, so the weekdays, weekends are gonna stay, no matter what, $7, right?
Yeah.
We're not changing that,
We won't change it.
okay.
It would be interesting to just ask how much non-resident we've pulled in last year. Either,
We should have
As
figured out, 'cause you're
beach
supposed to fill out a little
passes or
form that
daily?
lists how many they date like little hash marks, how many residents, how many
Yeah.
non-residents.
or even the passes, well, that's still the same, but the, the daily fees.
Yeah.
just-
Yeah, I think at Lake Quantified, there are more non-residents using Lake Quantified than Jacobs Beach. Not more residents than residents, but the greater percentage of non-residents use Lake Quantified versus Jacobs.
Durham.
Yeah. Okay, so if I get this right, you probably still have to make a motion, but I want to make sure I have it right here. We're going to keep the season passes as they currently are, right, the 3 tiers. And then we're going to keep Quantified and Jacobs consistent. It's going to be a per car fee, and it'll be $7 per resident car, $14 per non-resident car.
Absolutely, that's what I recommended, yes, I motioned it, yeah, whatever.
I second it.
Are you ready to vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you ready to vote?
Yes.
More
All
than
those in
ready.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Abstentions?
We get out of here.
Unanimous.
Okay, 2 more.
Really?
The new custodians haven't hired them yet, have they?
Just one
Size
so far,
visit.
We
officially.
hired one?
Todd Rake will be our new
Oh, that's the,
daytime custodian. Anthony, we have to backfill Todd's position before we can move Anthony. Anthony's, who's been here, is moving to the Parks Department. We can't put him there until we
Get
move Todd
Todd's
into his
replacement.
position. We can't move Todd into his position until we fill Todd as Tuesday and
Sunday.
Part-time.
Sunday. And then Ken has also resigned. He's Thursday, Saturday. So we have 2 part-time positions. We interviewed 2 individuals last week. We only had 2 applicants. Jack was on the panel there. And I can't confirm them yet because we're still waiting for background checks. And I talked to Mitch today, and he was out at the end of last week, so he hasn't been able to follow up. He's back today. And so, there's a test they have to take, and there's background checks, so we're just waiting to get that back from us. So we're just kind of postponing until we get those guys backfilled. And we have also lost Mark Mizuko, another position guy from Parks Maintenance. He got a job at Public Works. We're gonna have another Parks job open. So it's,
Are some of the part-time maintenance
This is
interested in full-time?
they probably will be. We'll have to advertise it.
Probably still has to be posted.
And that, what time, at part-time?
That's
No,
full-time.
Which one?
The one,
Mark?
Mark is full-time,
And he was where?
with Parks Maintenance. He got the
Now
job
with
at Public
Public
Works, so I
Works.
think he's gonna be with us the rest of this week. I think next week he's moving over there.
Is there an increase in pay or?
Yeah, different union, yeah,
And that was full-time.
yes.
Okay.
Any
Any-
business?
Is there any other business?
You have a site visit of the fitness
Oh,
center,
you
but we
gotta
talked
figure
about
that
that
out.
already,
Yeah.
so we don't have to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, as soon as I hear back from, I'll send an email out. If I hear from Cliff tomorrow, he says, hey, we could do next Tuesday, whatever. I'll try to get a couple of dates
that
and
would be
times.
good.
Yeah, all right.
I just have one thing for new business. Rick, could you just, especially for our viewing audience, explain the plowing for the trailheads for, say, like the Westwoods and the Timberlands and Bluff Head? And, where does our responsibility come in as compared to other
Yeah,
departments?
we don't plow those. I believe it's Public Works, because they're up in those areas anyway.
Okay.
Our plowing responsibility is all the town parking lots, and we do all the, about 2 miles of town sidewalks. And so the I'm almost contradicting, those are town parking lots, but we do downtown. We do the community center, library, town hall, the parking lot behind the food
Behind the food center.
marketplace, that's town, part of it is.
Yeah.
And we do that. And then we have 1, 2, or 3 of our guys, depending on availability, help Public Works when we're done with our job.
Okay.
And none of our guys helped last storm because they were all, we had 10, 12 inches, and they were all just doing here and keeping the town parking lots and sidewalks cleared. So I believe Public Works does those other areas, like if they're up plowing up in North Guilford, they'll hit Bluff Head, they'll hit Braymore and those areas. We also do a pass in Bittner and Jacobs, because people still do go there in the winter, use the playground. At Bittner, they're, cross-country ski or walk their dogs or use that little hill for sledding. So we do a pass there in those 2 places, and at Jacobs.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, can I add one quick thing? This is for Rick. Your department's gonna love me. Under reports, would it be possible, is it 4, how many brochures come out a year? 4? 3? 4.
3, we've been combining spring, summer the last couple of years.
Would it be possible after registration to get an idea of how many things were offered and how many people were filled?
Sure.
Especially because, we have a senior report, which is great, and we do a lot for seniors, but we do a lot for young families and kids, and we never hear about them. A lot of people don't know we have a 2s and 3s program. So it'd be nice to know that, we're running the 2s and 3 program again, and this year it was sold out. Great. I know the same thing with gymnastics, it's constantly sold out.
Yeah.
So it'd just be nice to hear that we do have these programs, and they are being filled, they're used. So, 3 times a year.
Yeah. I'd like
But
to
it would be
clear
good
out-
to get the numbers on it, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Just so that, we all know as a commission, these things are being offered and they are being utilized. Or what's not being utilized, and maybe we could have some suggestions on what to put in place.
It's a reasonable request.
And it's good to know how many people are coming in here using
Yeah,
the facility, it
Well,
really is.
we've been,
Sure, we can do
it's
that.
been the perception at times that we're a senior center.
Right.
And we need to remind the town that
Right,
we're a
all that
family
other stuff.
center for
And in fact,
everyone, all
I
ages.
should mention,
The
we have
winter
our winter festival is going to
festival's
be,
In a couple weeks.
is it February 14th? It's the day after President's Day, whenever the kids are on vacation. They're on vacation.
16th,
President's Day.
14th is Sunday.
14th and 15th, I think it is.
15th and 16th.
Or 15th, 16th, yeah. So that's a Tuesday. It's from noon to 3, I believe. It'll be offered here.
That's the 16th.
We've been doing that for a couple, it's 16th, is it?
It's great
16th,
fun,
16th
too.
is a Tuesday.
Yeah, so it's the 16th. Winterfest is not new. We've been offering it for probably 15 years now. We took a little break for a little while, but it used to be all on the green. Now it's mostly here, but we have the horse-drawn wagon rides around the green. Last year, because we had so much snow, I had our maintenance guys build a sledding hill. So we had a sledding hill on the green, and so while kids are waiting to go on the horse-drawn rides, we had those little plastic sleds. And I tested it first to make sure it was safe. It was. And I tested it more than once, I'll admit, because I liked it. And then there's a bunch of stuff here. We just met with a magician today, a guy from New York who's really talented. We're gonna have him come and entertain and just face painting and, some of the inflatables. Claire, you came last year, I think. There's a ton of
I
stuff
brought my
here.
green bottles.
We
and I
have
had a
400 or
ball.
500 people come, and
Yeah.
it's a fun time. I think it's $5 a bracelet, and you get to do all those activities for $5.
Probably have beach volleyball this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tuesday, February 16th.
When do they have
12 to
laser
3.
tag?
Yeah.
yeah, we do that, yeah, on the parking lot.
It's so much fun.
Any other business to come before the commission at 5 minutes before 9?
No, I recommend that the meeting end. Is that
You have
the
to
way
make a
to say
motion
it?
to-
Oh,
make a
that's what
motion to
I
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
I will
guess that's
second
more
that.
Is there a second?
professional.
Second from here.
All in favor?
Hearing no
Aye.
nays, the motion passes unanimously.
There you go.
Thank you.
Wait.